Squad, this is a very special episode because it's an episode before the most special episode, which is the Okras. How we all feeling? Bracken, you seem excited.
I love penultimate anythings. Penultimate step in the triple jump, penultimate Okra episode, scores of other penultimate items. Give me anything penultimate.
The penultimate on like HBO shows, always the best episode.
Always.
Hands down.
Always.
It's nice of Lisa to lend you her sweater today.
Oh,
I was going to say Bracken's penultimate outfit is killing it.
This is the ultimate outfit, and we got family Christmas jammies this year, and I'm breaking them in. I've been lifting in the pants this week.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean,
are you wearing pants? You know, Bracken sometimes records with us.
Maybe he's not
without pants on. I mean, it's been done before. Bracken will record pantsless.
Yeah, not because I'm a weirdo.
Tell me why.
It's because if we're getting done, if we're starting up right as I ran long on a workout, and like the shower didn't take or the shower didn't even occur, and I'm just too warm, and it's usually in summer when it gets hot as blazes in here, so I'll just be in some sort of boxer brief or something. If you're lucky, a boxer brief, and then I'll throw a top on, usually sleeveless. It's not just because I'm like, I'm going to be pant free.
How much in the holiday spirit is it just a byproduct of having young children in the house, or are you a holidays kind of guy?
I'm a Scrooge by nature. Lisa loves holidays, and the Christmas is by far her favorite. We get archery before Thanksgiving. Just to get her spirits flying. So, I mean, if it wasn't for her, I don't even think our kids would know about Christmas. I wouldn't tell them about it.
Listen, I live right next to a Christmas tree farm. I could see it from my roof. I drive by that thing every day and say, I can't be bothered. I just put up the same old shitty fake Christmas tree every year after year after year. That's where I'm at.
My holidays are Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whenever the race schedule gets released. Those are my holidays. I don't need this Hallmark nonsense.
What's the best standard day?
Taco Tuesday.
I'll go with Halloween as number one.
What was the question? The best what?
Like standard holiday, not just
standard holiday.
You know,
you're a big Halloween guy. You just enjoy dressing up.
Any chance Jack can be to be somebody other than himself? It's just I'm feeling a little bit crusty today, Jack.
Yeah, they're flying around today. Everyone's catching strays.
Kirk's cranky. He had a cold, wet, windy run. He's a little frozen in some delicate areas.
It's true.
You're going to get a lot of flack.
Yeah.
Winter Storm Diaz out there.
I was even going to compliment Kirk, but that's not happening anymore. So.
What were you going to say if you were to say it?
Don't tell him, Jack.
Save it for the Okras. To find out when you're nice to me. Yep.
Okay, maybe I'll switch my script.
Don't.
No, you're good. I like this version. No, I like this version of you.
Okay.
Holding it right above your head.
So we were going to talk about some Hyrox situations. I went through and I got all the scores for fantasy right now.
Good.
It's looking bad for Jack.
Hunter didn't race. That's the only reason why.
Neither has Sarah Colte. You have two no scores.
Very surprising. Yep.
Did you guys see that Frankfurt course?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, everyone just ran like 58 or 59 just by showing up.
Thiago Lusa ran 61 minutes a weekend, like 2 weekends ago. I saw this. And then he run where was it? In it doesn't really matter. And then he runs 57:54. Madrid. Good call, Jack. Yeah, he ran 61 minutes in Madrid. And yeah, you can certainly blow up in these races. But then to run a 57 something, and then two other guys were 58 who've been hovering right around 60 flat as well. And then you go and see Kent and I just get demolished by a Hyrox course running like 61, 62s. So it's a little bit of a bummer when you see a course like that. And Ryland too.
If you went to taking a nap a couple times in the middle of your burpee broad jumps, I think you would have broke 60.
I needed to sleep. I was at that point.
Orlando flashbacks watching this, Rich.
I was not good.
We've got World Champ Rich and we've got Philly Hood Rat Rich, and Philly Hood Rat came out again.
Do you
in
this
LA.
this reminds me of a version of you, Rich, and I don't know if many people saw this of you, but the classic Lindsay Webster spear throw gate in Big Bear, where you had handed her the spear, was in this race. And I think you were already decided you were having a bad one. And so you were like running up the mountain, and then you would completely just stop and stand there for like 2 seconds and then continue on. And then you'd run up until you were like, I had enough, and you just stop. You remember this?
I was taking strategic breaks on that incline.
You're the only person I've ever seen do like a fartlek session in the middle of a race. It wasn't, I cut it a couple dozen or like a handful of times. It reminded me of like the Hyrox version of that.
Hyrox is a hard race, man.
Mm-hmm.
It is not easy. I think we all went a little bit too hard too early and just weren't ready for the demands of what comes later in that race. So we all just got our butt kicked. And I crossed the line and was like, man, that course had to be slow, because I saw earlier there was like 57s and there's been 58s all over the world this year. And I thought, at least someone would be under 60, maybe 2 to 3 people under 60. But I don't know if it was slow. It may have been.
Well, it was.
It was proper. It was slow comparatively to, of course, like Frankfurt, or there was a couple other ones that were like, I think Hamburg was fast. I think there's been a couple of fast courses this year. Chicago may have been a little bit fast comparatively to other things, but I think we just got killed by the race.
The fact that you, Rylan, and Ryan Kent were in the same race, and none of you really created a major. I mean, Kent obviously towards the end had a little bit of a gap, but it's not like you guys weren't pushing each other. Like, this 100% course based. The reason why you guys didn't run fast. I'm sure you weren't as
70%.
in Hyrox.
Not 100%. Did you? If you've watched it,
okay.
I finished and I was like, yeah,
I know.
100%. And then I watched it. I was like, not 100%.
There are two things that popped out. Everyone who did not train for fall OCR came out and popped a Hyrox and PR'd big time. Every person who trained for fall OCR got smashed by their first Hyrox. And I think it's 100% across the board. I haven't found an exception to that. So I think that's part of it. Everyone's on the tail end of a big build, a big grind, and hard weekend or weekends of racing. Whereas Dylan just said, I'm prepping for Hyrox, and a bunch of the Europeans, and they all did that, and they all PR'd. And we saw it with some of the women as well. The second thing is that every race I watched up till this year in Hyrox made me never want to do one, because you see all these people that are monsters looking broken and miserable. And every race I watched this year made me think, I can't wait to do a Hyrox. It's just gotten easier. And LA was right back to don't ever do a Hyrox.
Well, no one in that race had been particularly training for the race. Colin Stiefer, who was fourth, he ran 61 something in Chicago. He's a pretty high level CrossFitter, just coming in, he's doing well. Mark Howe, he was this is his thing, so he had a pretty decent race as well. Mm-hmm. But Rylan
said he had the best race of the weekend, right?
I think he did. 63, yeah. He matched his other time, and like he ran as like a 69 guy last year. And then Rylan hasn't been preparing for it. And Kent and I have been preparing for DECA, which I was thinking it's similar, but deep down I knew that it is not similar.
One-way street.
I was a little hopeful. And
there are two events in my mind you cannot jump into without specific prep. And that's an ultra and a Hyrox. And this weekend just cemented that. You, Rylan, and Kent are in such monster general shape and specific to hybrid, and it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Hyrox is too much of a specific grind that the intensity of DECA doesn't help you there.
Not right away.
It will.
I think the speed will be helpful down the road, but right now it's.
I still don't understand, if you're saying the course didn't affect it. How did you run a 32 or 31.50 for your 8K? Like, that does not make sense to me. That's course dependent. Because you're consistently high 28s, low 29s, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
so there's 3 minutes, and your rock zone was like, what was your rock zone? Like 5:17, if I remember right. So,
they screwed up my burpee broad jumps. My burpee broad jump said 3 seconds, and as we know, we watched, it wasn't. It wasn't 3 seconds. I was
That might have been rest
Yeah.
to work ratio.
laying on the ground for 3 seconds between reps. And but they screwed that up. So the rock zones, I think, were like 2.5. So my collective time was still as fast as what Michaela Norman ran in Hamburg.
Oh.
And it's like, probably not. So it may have been a little bit slow, a little bit long, but we got killed. We got killed out there.
Can you entertain this? Maybe this is just ignorance on my behalf, but you have athletes like you, Rich, who are far from being a fringe athlete this year, meaning like you shouldn't have to worry about qualifying for races that matter. You should make the North American champs, the world champs. But what about those fringe athletes who are the ones who are like on the fringe of qualifying for like Chicago or wherever it may be? How does Hyrox sort that out now, considering things are course dependent? And obviously you could have one leg and run 31 minutes in an 8K, Rich. So I am assuming that Jack is correct here. Like you can be as humble as you want or try to work around it. But obviously this was a slow course period. So like, what do you do with those athletes? What does Hyrox have in place for that? Because the courses aren't the same. Nothing right now. You just get bent over and take it. And
more or less.
You almost didn't make the world champs last year and you finished 7th. Case in point. How many other people didn't make the world champs and could have sneaked their way into the top 10 due to course? They haven't sorted that out yet, I guess. Is that what I'm understanding?
It seems like they are working toward that, and they believe that they are making it more even across the board. I think they're doing their best, and they're not necessarily going to admit that it's course dependent. They're like, oh no, we've worked it all out. It's not. And it's clearly not the case. But so right now I am on the fringe. I'm well beyond, like below the fringe of qualifying for North American championships. Like the way that they're doing it is the top 15 in the world get dibs on the regional championships. So right now there's only one athlete that's in the entire North American region who's in the top 15. That's Dylan. And then like Ryan Kent is the 21st European athlete if we took off the Americans, right? So he can't even qualify to Maastricht. He wouldn't even be able to race in that race. He got second in the world last year. He got first in North America last year. And so I am outside of the top 30 in my times for my time right now. So if Europeans did want to come over and push me out, like I might not be able to race in North American championships.
So what is their filter system then to filter down?
I think they're just going to wait for people to decline and then it's going to roll down.
Like wait for somebody in France to decide they're not going to come over and run the North American championships?
I believe that's what they're doing, right?
I think Tara Jackson, she's doing Europeans, right?
She's in the top 15 because she raced a race over in Europe. She's like a 64, and I think Meg's going to go over.
But I thought that she's going to race there as well. Yeah,
she is. Yeah, and she's bumping out Europeans.
So what they've done in the past is they send you an email and you have like 48 hours. Sometimes it's from event date, but they usually set a window and you have 48 hours or whatever. I could be a little wrong on the time. So they're going to inform the people that they have a time to make the decision. It's not going to be like the day before the event. They're like, well, we still haven't heard from Davide, so I guess we'll open it up to the first American. That's not how it's going to work. There'll be a window where you have to declare, but it still sucks.
I can't imagine the Europeans are going to come over to here because how I deep down knew I wasn't completely prepared for Hyrox. They deep down know that these courses are not in their favor to come over here and go against athletes like Ryan Kent and then just not be on the podium, get pushed all the way out. You don't believe that they think that?
So as usual, I spent my whole weekend just watching OCR. And so I watched the live streams and there was some battling. Tim was in the Tim Wenish. Am I saying that right? Vinish.
Who's team he on again?
He's on your team.
I know. I'm just mentioning it.
Was in the comments and people were trash talking. Europe versus US people were trash talking. All the Europeans were like, that there would be no reps counted in Europe. We do not accept reps like that. And the Americans were like, you don't have real sleds. And they were like, someone's like, yeah, but someone said something like Tim said the rules are not the same here. And someone's like, yeah, the European rules are they're known for following the rules more. And then some American was like, oh yeah, better rules, shorter runs, shorter rock zone, lighter sleds. How's that for rules? And then they responded like, here's our average rock zone time and yours is this and ours are twice as long. And I think they truly believe that they are at a disadvantage because of their judging. And we truly believe we're at a disadvantage because of the course setup and sleds. And I don't think anyone's being totally honest with themselves.
Have you
Because
seen
World Championships has skewed everyone's perspective because we're obviously better. And they're like, well, they change the rules for Worlds each year. And so we don't get to follow our rules. I think they think they're just that much better. Sorry, Kurt, go ahead.
That was Jack.
Oh, Jack.
Have you seen some of the burpee broad jump form that was it Alex Ronchevic who had like the terrible
Martin.
step up, fall forward or something like that?
It wasn't
Does
Alex.
that sound like he's a Is that a rule abider right there? I don't think so.
And he's in the top 15. He had an under 2 minute burpee broad jumps. In LA, they had a judge following Rylan and I, giving us shit every single rep, and we were a minute slower.
And that's the issue.
Yep.
We've watched Europeans do the step up past their hands. And then Lauren was doing it for the first 2 lengths. And everyone was all over her. And then her judge got on her and she fixed it. And then her husband was kind of trash talking the entire time. I didn't even know it was her husband. I'm like, this guy's like really got it on for Lauren. And it turns out it's because it's her husband. But it wasn't a great look from him. And he's like, she has half of a forearm in front, just like the rules say, when it was really obvious she was stepping a few inches in front of her hands for like 30 meters. So both sides see the other side doing it, and they're just ripping each other to shreds while refusing to acknowledge that, yeah, we screw up form. A bunch of our, like Rylan probably did 70 no rep wall balls. It's his first time, and his ref didn't do anything about it. Anyway, both sides are delusional right now.
Both sides except our side. They're crazy over there.
All I really care about is knowing, like, if you really take a step back, like, obviously it's not a perfect system, but they're working on it, whatever. Spartan has been for decades as well at this point. But, like, do the right people end up where they need to be? Or are there people that don't, that are real potential contenders? Like, that's all I really care about, right? Like, when the dust settles, who's being left off. And I'm sure Jack could dig into some stats, but I'll just be curious how the system shakes out, because there's always going to be the fringe guys or girls who were like, yeah, that person would go and crush. Right.
It almost happened last year. The female world champ had to get wild carded rolled down in.
Wild.
Isn't it?
I think there is, without question, more depth on the European side. If we're looking, the B pack, kind of like we see in Spartan these days, like there's just more depth on the men's side than the women's side. It's a fact. And
I don't believe it.
Depth? You think like the 80th best person in Europe is equal to or behind the 80th best in the US? I don't think so.
There's no participation, I believe.
I've never thought about the 80th, to be honest. When I think depth, I think like your 10, top 5 people, but 10, 15. Like, what would you rank Cole Schwartz here in America?
Right now,
he's gone to Europe.
Well, no. Yeah, let's get to that after. But in America, what would we consider him? A, B, or C tier Hyrox athlete?
Probably 8th to 10th best overall. I'd say
coming into this year, probably B.
Yeah, and then he went over for one race, and what did he run?
Like 60-10
change
or something like that.
And then didn't he do it again in crack?
He had a bad race in.
I thought he ran 59.
No.
Okay, well, 60 flat. What would 60 flat, had he done that in the US, put him? That would be A tier.
Yes, he would have been on the podium at North American Championship.
So what I'm saying is that if Mark runs 63 here, he probably runs 61 or 60 there. And if Cole's always 64-ish, not always, but 62 to 64 here, and he's 60 flat there, I don't think we have less depth. I think we have a drop off from our top to our next tier. But that next tier, if we're all over there, would all be putting up times that their next tier is putting up. So maybe 80 deep, sure. But 10 to 15, no, I'm not buying it. I think both continents are the same. When we go over there, they get the better of us. And when we come over here, we get the better of them. Or when they come over here. I just think it's not equivalent yet.
We'll see this year too. And I mean, that's the piece that we could point to from our side is like, oh, the world championships, we had 3 in the top 5, 4 in the top 7, whatever. But as we've seen consistently in OCR, and maybe that's more terrain based, but traveling is an issue, especially for that race that was at like 6 p.m. West Coast time, which was like 3 a.m. Berlin time or something. So they were definitely at some kind of disadvantage coming over. But this year will be interesting if we can get. So there's a very high potential that there's only 3 Americans that make the World Championships, and those are the 3 that make the top 3 at the North American Championships, getting the automatic qualifiers.
So,
If they have this Maastricht course
so
the way
those
they
are
had
the
last year,
only
and
auto
everybody's under
qualifiers.
58, it'd be crazy. That's the only, and they're not rolling down. So Magita's going to Maastricht. If he gets a auto qualifier there, they will only, and then he gets a podium spot here. They won't take the 4th place person. They'll just take, like, they're just not rolling down. So there could potentially only be 3 athletes at.
You're going to have to see the top Americans travel to Europe to get a qualifier. And their response to yours saying, yeah, we put 1 or 2 in the top 5 in Vegas is the same thing for when world champs were in Berlin. But that was the year they did a totally funky course. And it was run on the assault runner. And only the Europeans got a heads up that it was going to be on the assault runner. And so they're the only ones.
Hunter still killed him. He was
And
the
they
only
still-
American over there.
True. But they're like, they did better than they thought they would in terms of sticking. I don't know. It's just like, we haven't yet had an equivalent course. And now, like you said, they helped the auto qualifier process. That's a good step forward. That wasn't there last year, but it didn't fix the problem.
Now they need to expand it. It like, people were saying, oh, we should just do half and half. And I'm like, well, it shouldn't be that way. But like, maybe it is going to have to be that. Maybe we just make it 20, 10 and 10. And that's it.
Yeah.
If you were to, not that we
I
were
think
planning to
what
go
they
down
should-
this rabbit hole, but
because they're going to stick.
go ahead, Jack.
They're going to stick with 15 people anyway, right? That's how many are going to be in the championship heat at some point. So say that there are the 4 races that it takes you to get into the North American or European championship, and then whoever wins those should probably get an auto qualifier, and then whoever the top 3 are right there at the Chicago, for instance. So now you've got a chance of 7 people making it, and you might have a couple duplicates. Just remove them. So now you have 5 Americans who get the chance to go. I think that would be, a more fair way of doing it without worrying about times, because you can only run as fast as the course allows you that day.
Yeah, totally.
So if we were to just break it down really quickly, like literally a 3-minute conversation, like list the men that are capable of finishing in the top 3 at North American champs and the women that are capable. And then think, okay, like if this is the system, like the names that are potentially going to be left off that could actually still be contenders for top 10 in the world. I have a feeling on the men's and women's side, there's going to be names that were like, that's not right that they're not going to be there potentially, but it's going to happen from the sounds of it. Am I understanding that correctly? Like on the men's side, who realistically, without worrying about people's feelings, who realistically could podium?
So I think there's 5. So
There's 5.
It's Kent, Dylan, Magita, Rylan, and myself. I think it's fair. And then there's a crew like the Colin
Without Hunter in the mix.
Well, he's not going to, he can't run it.
He's not qualified.
I know.
As the
I'm
world
just saying.
champ, he's not qualified. That's flaw number 1.
So
of the system.
5.
Okay, 5. And then what about the women?
On the women's side, you'd say
Meg,
Lauren, Alondra, Tara Jackson, and then it's like kind of open
Chris.
to a Camila,
Chris,
a Chris, a Bridget Brown, a Vivian Tafudo. So it's probably like 8 that will be fighting for that 4 to 5 spot. I think there's like legit 4 athletes at the top who could probably podium at Worlds.
That's what I'm getting at. Okay. That's what I was wondering. And I figured that'd be the answer. It's just going to be tough. Somebody's going to be sitting home who probably deserves to be somewhere, at the champs.
And one thing that this is just a byproduct of the company that Hyrox is an international company, so that and this is also why the Europeans could be running faster, is that they have more opportunities to race and to figure this race out and to be race sharp. Like we said, Thiago Lusa, this is his 3rd or 4th race of the year. So I don't think he took off 4 minutes in one race off of experience and sharpness, but they have more chances to go after it. So, and this is their only thing. They don't have DECA. OCR is not as big to these athletes who are doing in Europe. So they're just Hyrox.
Thiago, I believe, ran a DECA, actually. They had one in, I think, like Tenerife or something.
He didn't win, right?
A few months ago. He didn't win.
Wasn't it Thomas the Turvikt?
Yeah, Verdict. Yeah.
Rich, you you touched upon it, and I think there's a second half of that that's important, which is more opportunities to race means more opportunities to find the right course.
To get a course.
Yeah, because in the US, every year there's a course you're like, that was the fast one. Like it was New York one year, it was Dallas one year, it was Chicago one year. Just whatever configuration they come up with matters. But if you were to travel LA to New York and you're still in the United States, that would be traveling farther than across all of Europe. And so like if you travel New York to Pennsylvania, you're in different countries in Europe. And so you can easily get to more. And so, yeah, it's not just about the experience of Hyrox, which matters. You might just have a better chance of finding that course where everyone ran fast. And here it's like you go to one coast or the other, and then you sit and hope that I hope this rock zone's not 3 minutes faster than mine, because that would suck.
Right.
Well, who knows the answer to this then? What are the number of races available to the Europeans without crossing the pond, and what's available to North Americans?
I think it's something like they have close to 30 and we have like 8.
So it's that substantial.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's and it's bigger over there, and they're a German-based company. So like
it makes sense.
Because how many countries do they have them in? They've got Germany, the UK, Spain,
Hong
like
Kong.
a ton in Germany. Okay, I guess that's not crossing the pond, but that's a little longer flight.
Yeah. Probably won't be going to that one.
This is turning into Ironman, where you have to go pick your venue since it's only qualification based. You do your research, you find traditionally fast courses, you try to find out who's qualified and where, and you have to invest in shipping your bike and traveling someplace specifically for the point of qualification. And it's often not in the country you live in. So it's becoming a money and investment based sport, which is not inherently bad. It's why Ironman is what they are. It allows sponsors to come in high level sponsors because people are investing at a high level. So it may be the reason they make it so well, but it also changes OCR, which was always anyone can do it. Like we carpool, we stay on the cheap. A lot of people get free entries. You could do it relatively cheap for a while. And this is going to become the exact counter to that. And that does change things for a lot of athletes.
If they have a Frankfurt in the spring, I'm going. I'm going to run like
Kentucky.
52. And be like, yeah, no, dude, I just followed the rules. I just was really good this day. I swear. I'm just really good. All right. We'll talk more about Hyrox. We have some of the draft numbers. Our teams are kind of in place, and we got to go through the waivers. We still need to figure out a waiver scenario, unless we just want to do reverse order of where we picked. But we could. But there's some good waivers out there. We'll do that when we preview some of the championships in the next year. Today, we almost went down this rabbit hole last week, but we are going to look at the all-time list. We're going to shake it up. I've had pushback all year trying to shake up this list, but today, we're freaking doing it.
It's time.
We don't get to hear the Hyrox rankings for fantasy right now.
Yeah, spit them out.
All right.
I don't even remember who we picked.
In third place, Jack. In second place.
All I know is that whatever our team is, Kirk, you get the glory.
Oh, for sure.
You did your Hyrox research.
I really did. No, I take full credit for whatever this result is.
If you can pronounce all the names,
you don't go Jack on us.
I'm just saying. That was pretty. I'm on Jack's team today. You guys are teamed up. Jack's on my team. All right. Can we see this? So I broke it down, men and women, and then the top 5 because we have 7.
Yeah.
So the corral is 15. Off the strength of Tobias Ludwig, the top average male run. And a lot of these, no one has a complete score yet. They're all like 2 and 2s and 1s. A lot of people have only raced once. So these are just with these 1 scores in here.
Linda Blair was a great pick.
Linda Blair. Linda Meyer.
Yep.
Is Linda Blair like an actress of some sort? And I'm in second with 24, and Jack is in 5th with 26. You're gonna have to make some moves on the waivers with Sarah and with Hunter. I mean, US
Sarah
athletes,
Colty. I thought that she had the most races run. Like she had like a dozen plus over a couple of year stretch. So I'm shocked she hasn't raced this year. I don't know what's going on.
I believe we have a spelling error on our team, which we're not going to tolerate.
Oh my God. Now you're on Jack's
Rochovic?
team. No, I won't have it.
No.
Jack, you're off my team. You're on the Corrals team.
No. I was just pointing it out. I didn't say that you should fix it, but
There's
look
an
at that.
in Ronchovic.
Is it?
Why don't we
How about this?
remind our listeners and maybe one of the 4 podcast hosts how the scoring works for this?
So we're taking the average of of 3 times run throughout the year. So you can see there's like with
Per
Tobias,
athlete, right?
per
got
athlete.
average.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're taking the average, not the best.
See, we need to be reminded of this. Then even Jack needs to be reminded.
Like Tobias has his average is 50.
But if they only race once, then that would be their average. Like
That's
they don't
right
need
now.
they don't need to hit a number of 3 if they don't. That is
Currently,
okay.
you have to hit 3 to score.
Yes,
We may run into a situation where we might have to alter the rules to
That's
2.
what I'm
it
wondering.
might
the
have
end
to
of
be
the
2,
season.
or we might just have to have all Europeans.
It's
Okay.
not exciting if no one has a score at the end of the year.
So
That
we're
is
averaging it out for men and women separately or together?
I
As
did
in,
it
like,
separately,
Right. Okay.
even though.
And then we're getting our best 5 average time placements.
yes.
Okay. Got it.
See, you knew the score.
Well, I mean, it's pretty, it's not rocket science, but I just needed a refresher.
You knew how it worked. Look at Kent. I told Kent about this after the race too. He's killing my team. His number 2 pick overall and got me an 8. And then I'm up here, freaking
You're
screwing
killing
up
your
with a
team.
9. At least I have no one else to blame. So,
I would say 9th place is the average finish position of someone drafting themselves, if I had to guess. We've
We-
been uninspiring.
We have a flawed system here inherently. Here we are banging on Hyrox, but our scoring system is still course dependent. We should do like a percent behind winner. Number 1 scores 100 and percent behind winner. I don't know, because then it would at least be course.
now
Is that
you're
what
on
you
Jack's team. Now you're on Jack's team. We're getting Jack on your team
Wow.
now. Talking
Rich,
his
it's
language.
you and I.
8% of winners.
Nice, BK.
Well,
So-
now I'm seeing the flaw here. I don't know. Jack, was that your idea? Is that what you
Kirk, go on.
proposed?
We could do it because you guys are winning because you have mostly Europeans. So Jack, I'm
I'm
down
all
with
on percent of winner every time.
No, I like how it's working out. We got about half the score, you fellas, but
Jack sleeps in a percent behind winner pajama set. He just lives that life.
That's literally
with
my
pumpkins
shirt.
and black
right now.
cats and
Yeah.
scarecrows on it.
All right, so that's our update for fantasy. We'll get into this a little bit more. We have some waivers to consider. I did a whole deal, but right now we're going to get into our top list. We're going to expand this thing. We're going to do it. You guys don't want to do it, but we're doing it. So we'll see if we pull this up.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a whole season under our belts. OCR is over. Can you guys see this okay? Does it need to be bigger?
The word obstalkes could be fixed. That's going to bug me.
If you guys are going to be doing the
Must have
freaking
1 quarter
grammar
finish
police-
with no obstalkes.
You
I'm just
need
saying.
to run this past your
But-
wife or hire an assistant.
How's this?
But
There, gone. The whole thing.
Beautiful.
It's all in
You're
white.
gonna forget
Everything's
about
in
that.
white text. I don't think it's pertinent.
Do you want to know what? There are Rich. I'm coming to your support. Right, there are a bunch of studies that it doesn't matter what the arrangement of the letters is in the middle of a word, as long as the first and the last are correct, and you can kind of just scan over the rest without even realizing it.
Yeah, you
Everyone
know
knows
the-
this.
You don't know
for
what word I was trying to
cognition,
get?
Yes. For recognition, sure, but not for posterity, not for being professional.
We're a polished organization. Don't
Yeah.
we all know this?
Not over here. Spell check. Spelling is not my thing. So if you want to take over the doc, I'll send it your way.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. You're doing a great job. Never mind.
Thank you. All right. So we have our list here. I don't even really know where to start. What should we should we try to input people in, or should we just go through our list to start and then
I have a
try to
suggestion.
amend it as we go? Great.
Let's start with the people who are the tweeners or the people on the fringe, the ones like starting with Becca here.
Okay.
I think we should first start with them and see, did they increase or decrease their Hall of Fame repertoire or whatever you'd want to call it.
We should
Could
go
be-
one by one down the list. Keep it simple.
And we could add, this isn't everybody too. This is just off of what we did last time. So we could add names to this list. There's at least one that I'm thinking of. And, there's going to be that recency bias as well. So Jack and Bracken, you're going to have to keep us in line here with your historical knowledge of this sport to let us know what was going on at the times and not just being like, oh, that person just got second now. And that's why we think it's good, where this person back then was also doing the same thing.
Did you see Kevin Donahue's
I was
historical
just going to
post?
bring that up.
I didn't.
2012, I'll brag for you. Bracken Crocker, third in the world in the points rankings behind Cody Moat first and Hobie Call second, and then in a close third, Bracken Crocker.
So I'm not saying I need to be on the top 10 list now, but it would be sacrilege not to.
You're 14 right now.
I didn't strengthen my schedule this year.
You didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
you guys know that there was actually in 2010, there's a document out there that actually has, it might've been from Coble, a scoring or a ranking thing from 2010. So 2012 was not the first year.
I was impressed to see Coble on that list in 2012. He was like the 15th in the world rankings. Like Coble was hitting it hard for a year or two, huh? Was that before he was employed by Spartan?
Right?
Yeah, or a biker.
Do you know what he did?
But Coble was hitting it.
Went to Killington, bought a pair of shoes on the way there to do the race, fell in love with it, and asked for a position in the company, essentially.
He didn't run before Killington was his story to me. Like
Correct.
He was just biking, and then he went to Killington and what did he, podium or top 5? He was in the top 10, whatever it was. Oh, you're talking world champs. Yeah, he didn't run a step. He said, all I did was bike, and I showed up and kicked ass. That was it.
Well, he showed up.
For not running, I would call that pretty good.
So let's just run through the list real quick of what we do have on here. It's right now currently Lindsay Webster's number 1, Zuzana's number 2. We have Nicole Miracle number 3, Amelia Boone 4, Karen Carlson 5, Rhea Coble 6, Claude Gadbu is 7th. Ida is 8th. Faye Stennings 9th. Rose 10th. Miriam. Say that one for me, Jack. Guillaume Boisse is 11th, and then we just kind of have nothing. So let's try to get this out to at least 15. If we can make it 20, we can do that, but we might be stretching here a little bit. So we have some names on the list. Do you want to start in order, or do you want to go with the people who may have a little bit more of a freshness to their resume that we can kind of talk about, or do you want to talk about Becca?
You mentioned Becca. I've actually got her numbers up, and I think that she would be a great person to start with to compare who she should be ahead of with someone who else isn't currently ranked. So you want me to lead that off?
Do it. Give us a side by side. Yeah.
So I looked it up. Best average finish at Spartan Race World Championship. Annie and Rebecca Hammond are 4th and 5th respectively. They each have a second.
What is the requirement for minimum number participated in?
2.
Okay.
And that's also a good refresher, right? Because Spartan, we ranked Spartan World Championships as the highest on here. And then when we went down to like OCR World Championships, I believe, and then it was things like trifecta, and then I don't know, like other podiums and notable things. Regional race. Where do we put the regional races? Was regional above trifecta or below trifecta? Like a European championship, a North American championship.
I think that's got to be probably above trifecta.
Where's the list?
Yeah.
I had it written down.
I can't read it. It's spelled all wrong. I don't know how to do it. No, I didn't. I don't think I did. Did we rank that? I may have. We may have to go back into the archives and pull that out because I don't have that here.
We're going on athletes themselves right now. Like we kind of have a good feel for what's more prestigious, and none of them race a trifecta world championship, so that doesn't even matter for them.
Regional, but
anyway,
trifecta.
Yeah. So Rebecca
Chris
and
did.
Annie both have a second.
Esther did.
Both have a second. What?
Trifecta.
I know
world champs?
we're talking specifically Annie and Rebecca right now. Only those two.
Continue.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get a feel for who we think should be ranked higher than the other at this point. So both of them have a 2nd and a 4th place at Spartan World Championship. Both of them have a podium at OCR Worlds. Annie just did her first one. Rebecca beat Lindsay in the 3K one time over in the UK. So that's pretty impressive having that above her. However, and also Rebecca had second place at West Virginia one year and third place the following year. Annie got second place behind Emma at Tahoe for the regional championship. I don't have her. I only have Rebecca's filtered right now, but I thought that she also has another at West Virginia. She was like fourth, fifth, or somewhere in that range as well.
That was a U.S. National Series race.
U.S. not okay. So I think Rebecca has a slight edge in terms of podiums at regional championship. However, Rebecca only ran 3 U.S. National Series races.
What about Annie and Kelowna this year?
She was third.
Third. You're right. Forgot about that. Okay.
So she has a second and a
2 and
third.
3, which is exactly what Rebecca has. So they're much more similar than we realize. But Rebecca only has 3 U.S. National Series races under her belt. She got 6th in Utah in 2018 before her breakout at West Virginia. She got 4th at Jacksonville in 2019 and 3rd in Alabama when Nicole decimated everyone in those 2 races in 2019. Annie, she got 5 second place finishes in 1 year at U.S. National Series
second
races
in the series
last
too.
year.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And then this year she was injured. So it was kind of a little abbreviated year compared to what we're used to. But I think that second place in the series overall, compared to just 3 races. So I've got 1, 2, 3, almost a dozen or so races or National Series races that Annie has raced in over her career. And she has about 10 podiums roughly. So I think that
2 questions.
Her resume is more impressive there. Yeah.
Go ahead. Does Becca's hybrid racing count? Since she was instantly dynamic there.
At the very bottom.
Okay. And then 2,
what about Hilder Bat?
Schedule. Was Becca in a indisputably stronger historical season or 2? Yes or no? I don't know that. Jack would know that.
There was no Emma at the time.
Yeah, there's no Emma, but you did have Faye when she cared. You had a healthy Nicole, which is taking up real estate on the podium whenever she shows up, to be honest. And yeah, she was kind of that 6th member of the Fab 5 at the time. Alyssa was still racing. So I think that you had more high level talent. We discussed it on the World Championship episode where that gap from 4th to 5th with Yanka versus Annie this past World Championship was something like 6 or 7% different. You didn't see that back then when you had more high caliber women racing. So I think that she did compete in a deeper era, despite having a couple more top heavy names currently out there. I think that she was in a better era.
Can't compare eras.
Isn't the decision pretty obvious, or am I the only one who thinks this is clear as day?
I think at this point,
with the body of work of Annie in a competitive series multiple years in a row, there's no question that Becca was relevant for 2 years, right? She came on, she hit it, and then she left, right? And I think the prospect of what's still to come for Annie alone, on top of the body of work, already gets her in the conversation. And Becca right now, and she's in a different season of life, is just she's reached her pinnacle and she's not going anywhere else. And Annie still is full of piss, vinegar, and hope, right? And so I think she needs to be added so she can be consistently in the conversation moving forward.
Also, we are not, I don't believe, allowed to talk about potential, which is Becca's biggest calling card is what could she do? Until it's shown, I don't think we can grade that. And if we don't grade that, then I think it's obviously Annie, no matter how good Becca was and could have been.
Right.
You cover up those names, it's Annie. It's Annie.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep.
I would also argue if you cover up the names, Annie's over Miriam.
Jack, what do you think about that?
Walk us through Miriam's World Championships finish. I bet you can do it close off the top of your head. Now, her body of work is gigantic, right? Miriam
total podiums is at the bottom right above hybrid racing.
But I'm saying on the national or on the world level, where
totally.
You can probably pull that.
She has
how many top 5?
Miriam's done it all around the world.
which
But
matters
the,
less to
the
me
main
for
reason,
some
just
reason.
before we move on from Annie and Rebecca, yeah, and I think it's a no-brainer that Annie is above Rebecca. I was just simply pointing out that they are very, very similar caliber athletes. If we were talking about how much of a freak Rebecca was when she came on the scene, that's exactly what Annie's doing, and so she should be treated in the same, the same respect as that. But
Annie's above Rose
I
as
think
well.
body of work,
Bump
even
her up
though
2, bump her up 3, no questions asked. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. But Annie's dominance has only been 2021 and 2022, so a couple of years, and Rebecca was only 2018 and 19. So similar 2-year run as well. They've accomplished a ton, but Annie's body of work is better.
I think Annie and the Annie Becca debate, I think only comes down to appearance. I think that Becca ran with such power and athleticism, where Annie runs just
quietly.
Quietly. I would say her stride is unremarkable. And that sounds like an insult, and I don't intend it to be. She just doesn't have a stride that pops off the page or pops off the screen, where Becca, you looked at her and thought, she's not even trying. She's so powerful. What could she do? Whereas Annie does more, but her stride doesn't make you wonder, like, how hard is she even trying? Because she's always trying really hard. Becca just appears effortless and powerful, and I think that that's strengthened her image in the sport, which is unfair to both women. One's assuming she's not trying, the other one's assuming that she doesn't have the ceiling.
And I think that's the potential thing again. How does this work for an NBA analogy? It'd be like, who had a better totality of their career, like Derrick Rose or Mike Conley, right? Like the highs and what could have been.
Grant Hill.
Like if you look at it, Mike Conley's probably just as good, probably better. So Annie's it.
Clark was kind of the case of Becca as well, except even with more authority, right? That's why we grabbed onto Emma. I mean, her results spoke for themselves too. It was another level, but it's that same thing you're talking about, Bracken. It's not an unassuming way Emma runs. It's like very like, oh dang, like there's levels to this we probably haven't uncovered yet. Whereas Annie we feel like we're starting to see her cards. Like we've seen her cards a bit more than some of these other athletes.
Well, and historically, if you look at our list, grinders aren't rewarded as much as like prancing, aggressive strides.
Lindsay Webster.
Yeah. Well, she also has all the wins you could ask for, but like Ryan Woods, even though he's frightening at his best, he doesn't look dominant when he runs. And I think that's always hurt is he the best? Because he doesn't have that dominant looking frame that some other people do and they get obsessed with.
So do we want to move Annie? What do you think over Miriam? Like world championship.
I'm going to read her resume real quick. So Miriam, keep in mind, she's been doing this from the ages of 38 through 43.
Oh, doesn't matter.
8th. Bam.
I know. I'm what? You're covering me up, Rich. Yeah. 8, 6, 10, 3, 5 with hundreds of burpees mixed in there. But the result is what matters realistically. But 8, 6, 10, 3, 5. That's what she has.
Her burpee to placement ratio, it'd be a really big battle between her and Ryan Woods, but I think she would win that battle. Like most burpees, yet highest placements at races that matter.
It's so impressive, but I think it hurts her cause as obstacle racing.
I was thinking the same thing, Bracken. I was like, all right, so like she's bad at OCR.
Yeah. She's great at finishing.
Hold on.
There it is, Rich.
We got
That's
more.
Pretty. Rich, you look so proud when you do this. Like
better.
Genuinely proud. Man.
But Miriam also has a second place at the Ultra 24-hour championship. So that's a very, very, very huge range right there. Got to last. She also has a Europe or an APAC regional championship 2017 and 18, and then she also
that's in line with a Hildervat. That's a Hildervat
regional championship in 19 and the European championship in 2019. So she won arguably the hardest of those, the European one in 2019, taking down Esther and Ida and a bunch of other athletes who ended up race there. Yanka, some of the best over there. So she has 4 regional championships under her belt. She's come over to the US. Remember, I think it was Seattle, Bracken, when she ended up doing San Jose, she got 3rd place and 2nd place in Jacksonville in a sprint in 2021. So she has multiple U.S. National Series podiums. I think her body of work, no way you move Annie or Rebecca ahead of her at this point.
What about World? So you've got her 24-hour second versus Annie's OCR World podium.
Mm-hmm.
What about Spartan World Championship podiums?
Annie has one, and Annie has a second. Miriam has a third, and then Annie has a fourth, and Miriam has like fifth, sixth, 10th. She has more bad results because she's been around longer.
She's getting penalized for not living in the U.S.
Or
of course, that's how we do things here.
Getting rewarded for winning regional championships over people who have never been top 20 at Worlds. When you're talking APAC,
yes,
Europe though. So
I didn't say Europe. I said APAC.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But that wasn't my strongest argument for her. Was the European, and she's been doing this since like 2015, 2016. Annie's kind of been dominant for the past 2 years. Doesn't have as big of a track record, and Miriam has 14 national or regional series podiums in her career, and all but 2 of those are wins across France, Spain, China, the UK. She's done it in the US as well. So I don't know how you can say that she has not had a better career than Annie or Rebecca. No disrespect to either of them at this point.
You know what this is, Jack? That Miriam with this body of work, she's like the Karl Malone of OCR, and that's why you're
my favorite player.
That's why you're backing her.
I'm more stuck on. Am I the only one stuck on trying to remember how?
It's Karl Malone right here.
Do you often have pedophiles up on your shelf?
That's not Karl Malone.
He was my favorite. He was my favorite player growing up, and then I realized what he was doing, and
still kept the bobblehead.
Do you still have your Jared bobblehead up as well?
I don't even eat a Subway. No way.
You have an Oscar Pistorius
poster
somewhere.
Kind of the Subway guy once.
Jesus.
I'm more stuck on how did we end up with Rose Wetzel in front of Miriam is where I'm actually as stuck as anything. How we came on that decision, because if I were to just look at this and not ask for any of your input, I would just shuffle Miriam and Annie above Rose, bump Rose down to 12th, because I'm trying to think of like world level performances, and Rose has a few good ones, but isn't her best 5th? And
5th at Spartan and OCR Worlds 4.
Not to take away.
Did she get a podium last year?
No, she got a podium last year.
Trying to figure out how we landed on that. And with all Jack's great points, I'm starting to think, well, tough case for Rose to be put in front of Miriam.
Rose has the historical body of work that's, we've got some big sirens coming in here. That's pretty much indisputable. But if you take a look, and if she still is actively racing and not beating these women, can she be ahead of them? So her body of work, I think, historically is better than Annie without a doubt, or Becca, or I don't know, maybe not Miriam, but does she beat those 3? Jack, do you have stats?
Right,
Has she ever beat any of those 3?
Yeah. I'd have to
Miriam, she's beat.
She's beaten Annie, and I think she beat her in that West Virginia race.
West Virginia, she beat her because Rose got second, and Alex.
So I'd love to see their head to head.
Annie was 4th.
Maybe even at that Jacksonville.
Yeah. But real quick on Rose, she has her career finishes excluding 2017 when she was pregnant at Tahoe. She has 9.55, 16, 8, 9. Miriam's got better and more versatile. I think that
she's got Miriam's
body of work, or the fact that she isn't in the US is hurting her. And if we look at Rose, she was kind of the sport for a while. I think that goes a little bit into people's expectations. Rose certainly has let's see, she has a bunch of US National Series podiums, and she's been doing it since 2014. She has a National Series podium in 2014, 15, 16, 19, 21, and 22 because she got Utah this year. So she's got 15 National Series podiums, 6 separate seasons in the US, arguably the deepest region. That definitely counts for something. But I think if we're looking, I know that World Championship performance definitely is going to favor Miriam in this case, especially as an endurance athlete versus someone who would have benefited during like a super or a sprint if that was the championship format. But I think at this point, actually, you know what? In
What about Annie?
Jacksonville,
I think Miriam's a no-brainer.
Real quick, Jacksonville 2021, Miriam second, Rose third. Right there.
There you go. Settles it.
I'm going to step into water that maybe I shouldn't be stepping into. But Rose got and I was racing at the same time Rose was in her prime. And so I have a soft spot for Rose up on any list because I got to watch her battle at the top against the best. Regardless of if the best of her era wasn't as good as the best of this era, I got to watch her compete, and she's a phenomenal competitor, and I like watching her. However, she got how many years was it, Jack, between having her first child and making her next podium? How many years was that?
Breckenridge 2016, she got third, and then her next podium was Jacksonville 2019. So
Okay,
2.5 years.
And she got a long pass because of having a child, and it hadn't been seen in the sport before, but we had kind of mentioned back then that typically high level performers who become mothers need between half a year and a year before they're kind of back to themselves. And now I think that historically we're going to look back and see that she took longer to make it back than the next wave of mothers did. We have several mothers in the sport currently. Lauren Weeks, for example. And then Lauren is a freak of nature, but so is Rose. And she got back 2 years quicker. And you're starting to see these other mothers who are getting back quicker. And so while it doesn't reflect on being a mother or the resiliency of your pregnancy or anything like that, it does show that she had some gap years, which hurts her resume, which don't appear in other people's resumes. So I know that's not a great stance to take, but if you're looking at Hall of Fame debates, you kind of have to look at everything.
That's fair. I think Miriam jumping her with these stats makes sense with both resumes that we've gone over with Annie and Rose now. How do we feel about that? Because Rose has the totality piece. Annie has the high level accomplishments now in her second year. Where do we stand on that?
I think since Rose is still at it with that factor, there's still battles to be had between Rose and Annie potentially, that we leave it right where it's at, and it'll tell us, I think, ourselves over the next 6 to 9 months.
If I had to guess, I would say Annie has a winning record against her.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know, because Annie was kind of ascended. She was in the sport for a while.
I guess that's
she didn't
true. Either
show
way,
up.
my point, I don't think that affects my point.
Rose is 5-3 head-to-head in Spartan all time. But if we're looking at 2021, like Jacksonville, when that happened, Annie has won 3 of the last 4.
Right.
When
So
she's
it's like
kind of coming to her own.
It's the ascension piece.
And then that doesn't take into account OCR Worlds, where she's beat her there a couple times. They're probably closer to 50-50 at this point.
Okay.
Rose just has a longer career.
So anyway, I think Rose's vast career keeps her where she currently is, but I think it only takes 1 more year for Annie to have a legit claim to that spot.
That's exactly what I was getting at.
Especially if there's another world championship podium in there. Because that's the one thing that's eluded Rose, has been the world championships, specifically on the Spartan side. Granted, it's not her strength, but we're not judging individuals what they could be best at. We're judging what they did against the established races.
Her 800 time does not get considered for this.
No. Had this 1,000-meter short course come earlier, maybe things play out differently.
Yep.
All right.
Now are we putting Faye above Miriam still at this point? Because we've kind of taken a new look at Miriam. If we look at Faye, she was
10 third twice, US wasn't she, at Worlds? And
yep,
she's won series races. I think she stays put.
She had a third place in 2016 where she narrowly lost to Lindsay, and then she has
the burpee year.
Third. She started out in 12th at Killington, and then 9.3447. So she has 5 career top 9 finishes, including a podium, 3 career top 4s. That's better than Miriam.
I sometimes forget her body of work.
Dude, Faye at her best would school Miriam, Rose, probably most of the people on this top 10 list when Faye was on. And her body of work backs it up. No, recently she had her bad last year in the Spartan series where she took like 7th every race or 5th every race. But if you just
She was checked out.
she was checked out, like no way you can bump Faye down, not a chance.
So I don't know how much this matters, but one thing I like to do is look at the list and say, if they came into the sport earlier, would they have done better? And I look at Becca, I look at Annie, I look at Faye, I look at Rhea, and I think they all would have had a chance to win a world championship if they come in the sport in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Rose wouldn't have won a world championship in 2012 because it was still a beast distance. And she didn't really develop the ability to run a beast until 3 years into the sport. You look at Miriam, if she comes into the sport in 2012, she might have a world championship. So Nicole, does she come into the sport in 2012? Does she win Killington? I think most of these names we know deep down, if they came in earlier, they would have more world podiums than less. And I don't know if you can say that about Rose.
But we have to not use potential, as I think Rich alluded to earlier.
Bracken
but
said
yeah,
it.
I do agree with that point.
That's
then
forward-looking potential.
And then Bracken's just not potential, but like this kind of potential. Let's look at this potential instead.
Well, we get to see them in the late stage of their career, what they're doing now. Could they be doing that better in the beginning? Like, really, would Miriam have won Killington 2011? Everyone did 180 burpees. Yeah, she probably would have won by a half hour.
Yeah, maybe.
Would Annie have come out and won that?
Should have done way less burpees, yeah.
Yeah, so would Rose have come out and won it?
Yeah.
No, she'd never run a mountain in her life until she got to Spartan.
So let's do an international name here, since we have done 2 domestic names, put them on the list.
While we're talking about Rose, I just want to insert one other American that gets criminally overlooked, Alyssa Hawley. I think that Alyssa should be higher on this list. If you look at Alyssa
above Becca
head to head, she is 12-9. Alyssa's 12-9 head to head against Rose.
Head to head's no good. I think head to head is a terrible way to go.
It's a tertiary.
Because it's always in different points of the careers. Like that one that you did for all the men, it's like, oh yeah, VJ has a bad head to head against people. It's like, yeah, because he was like 17.
But they raced in the same era primarily.
No, but it's like, yeah, it's like LeBron as a rookie.
Alyssa has a
it's over time.
I'm open to it. I want to hear the debate.
Yeah. Just
well, the problem is,
so Alyssa has. Yeah.
No, go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
Go ahead, Kirk. Before. All right. Alyssa has a 4th, a 3rd, and an 8th place at Spartan Race World Championship. She has run. She kind of emerged in 2016, which is right around when that Fab 5 era with Nicole, Lindsay, Faye, Alyssa, and Rhea all happened. Alyssa has 7 National Series podiums, but she has a ton of them in 4th place, and she wasn't losing to Rose when she was getting 4th place. She was losing to Nicole, Faye, or Lindsay, essentially. So if you instead of having the 7 podiums, she really has 15 top 4s, and she was ahead of Rose during that era, and she has a winning head-to-head percentage. She has that missing podium at a world championship event that we talked about. She has another 4th place, which is better than Rose's best 5th place finish. I think she has a better resume.
She won a National Series race.
Yes, ahead of Lindsay.
Seattle.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she has hybrid racing.
Well, and that was the point I wanted to make, though, about Alyssa. She had those 2 years where she really came on. Still was underrated for some reason, and then finishes like people forgot about her by the time World Champs came around, and then she took 3rd, if you guys recall. Which was just like, and then she had these bad injury bouts for 2 years. I felt like she dealt with something, and then her hybrid racing, knowing her Spartan prowess, I thought was just like a little, like we expected maybe a little more dominance in the hybrid space out of her. And I think that's what held us back with that decision, right? Like Faye went in and was a little more, like if you go and look at that, like how did Faye fare against Alyssa when they were head to head? Didn't Faye usually beat Alyssa, for example?
Yeah, Faye is 18-12 head to head against Alyssa. So they faced each other.
And I'm talking in the hybrid, space even as well.
They
probably a wash.
They haven't done too much, either of them, really. Alyssa's done a couple of races, but
the thing that holds me back, and Alyssa's at her best was amazing, is I thought maybe there would be some bigger swings in the hybrid space that maybe I was just secretly hoping to see because I thought it made sense for her, but it wasn't like backed up in the hybrid space. I mean, her pinnacle was the Spartan series, and I figured it would certainly be the hybrid space. You guys understand what I'm getting at there?
Yeah. It's still new. She's got third last year at the North American Championships. I think she was
great.
6th or 7th. She's similar career to mine.
She's in a strange position because
you're not on the list, Rich.
I'm not on the list, so bad argument.
She came into the sport off softball as a power athlete and then learned how to run and significantly changed her body makeup.
Right.
And then hybrid came along.
Right.
And she was significantly less powerful than she was when she came in. And all the skills she had worked on didn't want to translate over to Hyrox. So it's a very interesting career arc because she's having to like relearn who she was 7 years ago. And that's difficult to do. That doesn't bolster her rating at all. I just find it very interesting that, man, she could just reverse the two, find Hyrox first but she got so good at OCR so fast.
Mm-hmm. The two most like moments that give me the chills in the sport are watching her win Seattle in the North America in the Spartan Elite Series and then kick the bell in the team race for USA to win at Tahoe. Like she is two of the iconic like moments I remember in the sport. Yet I have a hard time bumping her up. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong there.
Yeah. What do we do with this?
I put her between Miriam and Rose.
I'm okay with that or one lower between Rose and Annie. I think Annie and Becca still both need body of work, but it might only take one season.
I think Alyssa
we have to vote.
Was the better during like their prime era. Alyssa was not losing to Rose, and she has a better head-to-head record as well. She's got to be ahead of her, but she doesn't have a better body of work than Miriam.
Okay, so let me just put this out. I want to make sure I'm on the same page. She has better performances at Worlds, Spartan Worlds.
Yes.
She has a higher best finish in National Series races. She has a winning record against her.
Which shouldn't matter.
They've both won something, but yeah.
No, I'm saying, didn't you say that she has a winning record against Rose?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. Which shouldn't matter until it does. I think as the third or fourth component, it does matter. She's had success in another form of OCR. And what is the con against her that Rose has? It's body of work, total podiums.
Alyssa might have more in her career, but if we're looking at like national series races, yes. Yeah, Rose, but a good portion of those were in 2014 and 15 before, the sport kind of changed and got a little bit deeper. And if you throw in fourth place finishes for Alyssa, she has just as many as Rose has top 4.
Well, this is going to appear to be really, really disrespectful to Rose, but the numbers say she only has a leg up in 1 out of 5 categories.
Blind resume.
Yeah.
Wow.
Doesn't this just show how subjective this crap is? I mean, we didn't even have Alyssa on the list. We decided to not even put her on there the last time we chatted. And now we talk our way into putting her at least at 11th. Like, what do we even know, guys? We chose to leave her off the list. She's done nothing since we did this last time, basically. And she just earned her spot to jump up into the... I'm just saying here, what we speak isn't gospel. Clearly, we're as confused as anybody else at times.
Incorrect.
I just want to point that out.
All right, if we're going to confuse things, Jack, I have a question for you. Where does KK Paul sit?
Yep. Below.
Does she have
on her own special list?
Does she have any worse of a 2-year resume than Becca or Annie?
Did she get second in the Worlds?
No, not second.
Well, that would be one. That's the one thing she's missing.
Yeah.
But she won National Series races. And placed top 3 at many. So I'm just trying to confuse things.
All right.
She's never been talked about.
Here, KK won Breckenridge and Washougal in 2015. Got 3rd place at Montana 2016, and then Palmerton 4th place 2016. So those are the the best finishes. 20. Okay, yeah, and then a bunch of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 like mixed in there at Tuxedo and Breckenridge and stuff. So I don't think that's as good of a body of work. If we're looking at World Championships, KK only finished 2014 Killington and got 25th. This is excluding Warrior Dash, excluding Atlas race and some of the other ones that were around back then.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's way down.
Yep.
Another way to confuse it, do we want, because this is something we've talked about with how difficult it is to travel and do well in championship venues, is an international, because like say Alyssa, for example, most of her championship races took place domestically, where someone like Annie's have been internationally. Like, should that weigh more as a performance than just like, and like, because when it's Tahoe, it's basically the US championships.
Yeah.
End of the day, it's
A year
2
from
years
now.
versus 6 or 7. It's
No,
not
just in
it's
general,
enough
just
of a
not
resume.
not the specific. That was just kind of a full
Well,
example.
on
Like,
that
if this is
note,
going to break a tie or something.
Does her impressive resume get lessened because not everybody decided to travel over there? There was no Emma. Nicole was injured. Like, does that what if also, even though she did well by traveling, not everybody did travel. So
Yeah, I guess it goes both ways.
offsets it a little bit.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to lose to the people who didn't go for the most part, but like Emma's probably the one who would have bumped her back a place. She might have finished 5th.
Yeah, but then, but yeah, you can't. That's because it's fresh. We don't know all the international athletes who didn't show up to Tahoe.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to give a counter argument for yours.
It's a good argument.
It's fair.
Emma also would have bumped every single person on this list down at any world championship she went to, other than Lindsay and Nicole. Maybe Zuzana. Annie might be one good year away from surpassing everyone but Faye. And 2 years from Faye.
If she's on a world podium again, she has to be in front of Faye.
So she might and then she has a chance at Ida.
Agreed.
Wow. Too bad you never draft her. Don't believe her.
I have, and I was the first. Don't forget, I was the first person to draft her. And you guys were all like, "This was way back."
You,
was like,
you hopped right off the bandwagon.
You're like, man, it's way too early. You guys,
Torque.
You don't even know what you're talking about.
French for never going to get drafted by Rich.
That's not what that means.
I think it might be.
All right, let's talk about Esther. What do we think about?
Probably not.
What do we think about Esther here?
What is, in parentheses, good 2020?
I'll let you guys lead because I've started talking in the past and
mean. Like, what is that? I don't have the stats on that because all I see really is what she's done at like the World Champs recently. What does good 2020 and 2019 mean?
I think that she like regional podiums. Like she has, Jack, doesn't she have the most podiums ever now or something like that?
She does now. She just won Trifecta World Championship. Esther has finished on the podium in 51 of her last 52 races. That's crazy. It's the only
good.
time, and 50 of those were second or first place. And I'm talking regional series, Trifecta World Championship. When Nicole went over there, she won this year. She beat Nicole during one of the races when she went over there. Let me just filter out non-World Championship or non-local races. So she has done, in her career dating back to 2017, 32 races that are National Series, Trifecta World Championship, Regional, or World Championship. She has missed the podium 4 times. So she's 28 out of 32 making the podium.
To me, she is
At
Miriam.
Big races. Yeah.
She's Miriam, but can obstacle. So
That resume sounds better than Miriam's.
I think it is. I personally have Esther in the top, probably right around Claude to Rhea, right in there. That's my personal opinion.
Maybe.
Has
7,
Esther
8,
done
9.
any OCR WCs or any other?
No, but
so we only have Spartan body of work for her.
Esther was the only female finisher at that year that John Albin DNF'd the 3K course. At the
so she has a world championship?
A
European.
A European. Okay.
But the fact that she did something that John Albin couldn't, that's impressive.
We all do that every day.
Just OCR. We just regularly do OCR.
Yeah.
Drive on the left side of the road.
Yeah.
Right side of the road, whichever.
Hey, he's in Norway, so maybe it's different.
You think John Albin can dunk? Dude, no chance.
Can you list off Esther's world championship finishes?
Yeah, so she has a couple DNFs from Tahoe.
That doesn't
But
look good.
I'll
least she
work
showed
my
up.
way up to there. So Esther, European Championships 2017, 18, 21, and 22. She's got third, second, third, first. The people she was losing to were Zuzana. Like that's who she was losing to. And her first year racing was 2017. So third place in her debut year. If we're looking at World Championship, she got 13th and 27 at Tahoe. DNF the next 2 years because or DNF'd in 2019. Maybe it wasn't 2 years, but I know for a fact she did in 2019.
It was cold that
and
year,
got second
Bracken.
this year. Yep.
No, it wasn't. I was there.
I'm struggling with it.
I think her resume is pretty dang impressive.
You know what, though? If it wasn't for her taking second place at the recent World Championships, I don't even think we could have this discussion because her World Champ resume sucks until now.
And she's not from the USA.
Right.
Damn it.
Well, I mean, really, her other body of work is great, but we got to always go to the big races in which she showed up to 5 of them and 2 are DNFs. But because she took second place in Abu Dhabi, puts her in the fray because of her other body of work.
She's 4 regional championship.
That's
Or
what I'm saying.
regional
If it was Becca Hammond we were talking about, she ran West Virginia twice, and we want to put her, like, we're debating if she should be in the top 10, and yet Esther has 4 regional
But
podiums.
Esther for Greece Trifecta weekend, she has 4 career wins and 2 second places, beating Nicole in the process, sweeping this past year. We just haven't got to see her.
All right. I think we can put her one spot above Miriam safely.
I agree. I think that's her place.
Also, now that we're thinking about it,
Behind Faye,
I have a hard time.
she's ahead
No,
of
I
I
have a
think in
hard-
front. I think in front of Faye.
I have a hard time saying Miriam's a better obstacle racer
She's ahead
than
of Faye.
Alyssa.
How so, Bracken?
Because she's not good at obstacles. I understand that could be a flimsy argument, but just every time I look at this list, I don't like something.
That's fair.
But to start with, Esther above Miriam, does she go above Faye? I think that's the vote.
I think the regional podiums
Bracken.
and a world second place is
we have
a
7
trifecta. Blind resume.
Yeah.
Give it to us, Jack.
Yeah. All right, Bracken, real quick on that point, because I think Alyssa and Miriam have faced each other 7 times. This isn't it's the small sample size realistically, but that's a good amount of racing in your career for people in Europe versus the US. 5-2, Alyssa head to head. I think we got to put her ahead. And a lot of those are world championships.
You want to move Alyssa in front of Miriam now? We're back there? I thought we moved on.
I think so. At this point,
Didn't.
she can sit.
I never move on.
Okay. So we're not on Esther anymore. We're back to Alyssa and Miriam.
Yes, that we're just shuffling those 2 and then going back to Esther. Only because
Right.
Bracken raised that point. I was like, let me look into that. But 5-2 head to head, and most of them are at world championships. He has a good point.
That's fine. Not good
All
at
right,
obstacles.
Esther,
You
where are we
get
putting her?
negative points.
Can we put her full name on there, or are you just reticent to spell it out? The disrespect.
The latter. No, it's more
I like
respect.
it.
You can just have
yeah.
one name. That's way more respect than misspelling her last name on
She's like
here.
Pele.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Jesus.
No.
Gandhi. Bracken. People that can go by
Yeah.
one name. Mononym Seal.
Yeah.
Sinead.
So Esther here could be another one. But Bracken, you did such a nice job hitting us with that last name before. Hit us with that last name again.
No, undefeated, untied. I pass
All right.
it.
Are we saying that's above?
Porto Bagiova.
That's really good. Above Faye? Or you guys want below Faye? The corral.
We're split.
Because of where she lives. Right, Jack?
No, she's above Faye. It just comes down to is it above Ida? But I think that Ida's had success in multiple disciplines, and
the
she's
OCR
also
World
traveled
Champs.
to the US.
Mhm.
I think that Ida is ahead of Esther, but I put Esther ahead of Faye. So I would put Esther to be the new number 9.
I do want to know Ida and Esther head to head.
I'd have
Do you
to
have
look
that
that
for us,
up.
Because I
outside
think
of-
Esther works Ida every time they race that I've
Spartan.
watched.
Yeah.
Listen, cold conditions are a part of OCR, and if you can't finish a race in them, doesn't that count just like sucking at obstacles? The only reason I agree with this and can get behind it is because Faye DNF'd her last time at Tahoe as well due to the cold conditions. If Faye didn't have that one DNF on there, I might start headbutting a few of you guys. But because Faye has the DNF and Esther only then has one more,
Rich is pumped.
Then I think we can put her there.
I think it's a sure thing.
If you put Esther and Faye
this year
at their absolute best, who wins?
Esther.
This year, Esther just won the European Regional Championship. Second place was Ida.
Second place
earlier this year.
No,
she ended up
Faye and Esther at their absolute prime. Who
Esther.
wins?
Esther.
Yeah, probably Esther.
Okay.
Jack was getting to the stats you requested, Bracken.
I know.
You cut him off.
Yeah.
I just can't fully get behind anything he does.
So what do you got for us, Jack?
I was just saying this year we've had 2 head-to-heads, Esther versus Ida, and Ida finished second both races. European Championship was one of them. Another one was a beast in Slovakia. So just saying, I think Esther currently is the better athlete, and she has a heck of a resume. It's hard. They're very equivalent. I give Ida the benefit of the doubt solely because she's done it at OCR Worlds for a number of years, has that versatility there. On her best, I think Esther's
Battle
better,
bunker champion.
Kind of like Kirk alluded to, you got to deal with the cold temperatures. Yeah, got to deal with the cold temperatures, and Esther has not proven that she can do that. So I put her a notch behind just in that point.
Yeah, and she gets to join that Annie list of another year. Might bump her right up.
Yeah,
I definitely expect her to make another jump. Like if she's on a world podium again, like where she's going to get in some and wins another European championship, she's going to be really making her way up this list. But right now, 9th.
Who's going to beat her in Europe?
Well, that's the question. If Annie lived in Europe, would she have just won Euros? I know we're off in the weeds.
Alyssa went to European Championship one year, and she ended up getting 4th.
Was that Ireland, though?
No, that was Morzine.
Oh, it was Morzine. Okay.
Yeah.
No, what I think we should do with these last 2 names on the list that we need to get to, which are going to be, we could spend an hour talking about them. It's going to be a problem here.
They don't qualify yet.
They don't. You need Emma Cook-Clark and Chris Rogowski
they have 2 years.
Qualify yet.
They both have 2 years. Yeah.
I think we just do a 3 count, and on the count of 3, we all shout out the position we think each should be in, and then we just take the average of them all and we just stick them right there and don't even think further than that. Well, it's a terrible idea. I'm kidding. But
I think
all right, Nate.
What Chris Rogowski did this year, I think she really elevated her profile in this last year with essentially 2 world championships.
I think you all look at the top 15 right now. I count to 3 and you all shout out the position you think she should be in. And then we go from there. Yeah. I don't think we let anybody else influence what our initial reaction is to where to plug her in. And then we go from there. Are you guys cool with that? Do you have a number picked out?
All right.
I do.
Count. With Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I need to be swayed. It's hard with her in particular because she's all over the place.
Go ahead. Do the countdown. We'll list the number.
Well, I want to make sure everybody has one.
Okay, I just want to say one thing out loud and get
Nancy. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
How are we ranking world championships versus regional and national series podiums? How are we ranking that?
The worlds are above them.
I guess Cloud shows that, right?
The Hyrox World Championship is probably the lowest of, that's probably below a regional championship and like a trifecta world championship just because it's such a different space. But the world's toughest, that's a big part of Rhea's and Amelia's resume. So
and
that
Chris.
has to be
right.
Yes, I believe we're talking about Chris. That's a big part of their resume.
No,
so
she got 100 miles, the world's toughest mudder. That's a pretty big deal.
Are you guys ready?
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
I don't have a
I was
number.
using Chris as the
You have
example,
to.
and you're like,
That's why I
don't
wanna
forget
do
Oh,
it
about
with
I
her
thought you
because
were
it's-
saying world toughest mudder mattered for the others, not Chris. Sorry.
No, it does. I was just.
It's
Don't forget
so
about
tough
Chris.
to say with her. That's why I think it's fun because somebody could say one and somebody could say.
Give us the countdown.
Okay.
All right, ready? We'll go 3, 2, 1. Shout it out. Okay.
All right.
3.
Let's hold our hands up. So we can,
No. Bracken, man up.
He doesn't
All right.
want to say it.
3, 2, 1.
Tan.
5.
5. I said tan.
I said 10.
I said 5.
Jack, where are you?
Jack, what'd you say?
I think she is ahead of Rebecca, behind Annie.
Oh, way down.
15.
I'm way up. See, we're all over the board.
Okay, so she has 2 world titles. And the best performance
And OCR
ever at
World's
World's
podiums.
Toughest.
OCR World podiums.
So she's ahead of Annie.
I
She has to be just based off if our most important
Are we
Is
are we
worlds-
including
World title, that means she has to be at least above Esther. She has to. or at
no,
least
no.
above Faye.
Like
I don't go with
the
that.
the performances at the different things matter. It's not just like a world championship jumps you all the way up.
well, it does because Claude is in 7th and she has the least amount of National Series podiums out of anyone on this list.
She has 2 Spartan World Championships though.
Yeah. We have the best World's Toughest performance of all time. We have a Hyrox World Championship. We have OCR World's podium. So that's better than Annie. It's better than Rose. It's better than Miriam. It's better than Alyssa. It's better than Faye. Esther's regionals and world performance probably cancels it out, which is why I put her at 10.
Body of work. That's kind of what I was thinking too. Like body of work, she's done a lot in a short amount of time, but she doesn't have multiple world championship races to show. Like
She could be 1 year, maybe 2 away from 4th place.
I just think the fashion in which her range, I don't care how much you want to credit some things and not credit other things, and whether it's Spartan or Hyrox, her range alone, looking at this list, is, I mean, I know you don't want to be a jack of all trades because what good does that do? But it's better than anybody else on this list. Not only did she win WTM, she won WTM in 2022, would have, on Amelia Boone's best day, would have run circles around her, sets the women's record to be the only one to go 100 miles on a course that really wasn't that fast compared to other years. It's the fashion in which she's done it.
Mhm.
It's the discrepancy in between her short and her long racing, and then her consistency. Yes, you can't take into factor all her dumb 100-milers all over in between U.S. Series races, but then still goes in podiums in a lot of these things. I'm not saying she should necessarily be 5th. I can be argued down, but like if she's not by the end of next season, then I'd be disappointed.
That's all fair. If she never raced again, could we keep her at 5th?
You're right. The answer would be no. I get what you're
Right.
getting at.
Right.
Yep.
I think that I can't put her ahead of Esther because I don't think she's beaten Esther. And she had 4 opportunities this year and she's 0-4 against her as far as I know. Jack can fact check that.
She got
So
she got 3rd, 2nd, and 7th at the Trifecta World Championship, all behind Esther.
And Esther won all of those. Yeah.
And then 8th at Abu Dhabi, with world's toughest mudder baggage on her body.
if she repeats this year, I think it's a no-brainer.
Help me understand the Amelia Boone in 4th place then. Is it because she was a pioneer? I know she won the world champs, Spartan world champs. I know she won WTM like twice. And one of those performances was pretty impressive, I believe, with how close she was to the
second
the
overall,
winner.
I think.
Yeah. But what's her body? Was she racing and podiuming a ton in Spartan series then, or was she not? Like, I guess I don't know her depth of performances other than her big highlight. So Bracken said yes. So she was just podium master for years back then? Because I don't remember that.
Sorry, we had sirens going on.
I do
would say
not
there were
have
at
a
least
million.
3. There were at least 2, if not 3 years of podium master on top of 3, maybe 4 world championships. And did she hit 95 miles or 9? What was her best? 90.
Rhea
In
and Amelia
cold.
have 90.
So I agree that she is. I mean, after Claude, Amelia is the next ripe one, unless Nicole never comes back. But she has so many world titles.
Mm-hmm.
And she was smashing people, smashing them. She was the first person that knew how to run and descend mountains.
So I think we had a 10, 2 10s, a 5, and a 15. So
10
that
it is.
sounds like 10.
Perfect. See, it worked.
Yo, Kirk's a genius, bro.
Kurt, I
let's do this
tried to be the stick in your spokes,
the
and it
only
didn't
thing-
work.
And then we have to do the same thing
only
with
thing
Emma,
about
of
Chris-
course.
Super smart.
Hold on. How is Chris has done it for 1 year, realistically, on the U.S. National Series and the
Mhm.
Spartan scene. We're taking away body of work. As impressive as it is, it's all been in 1 year. Does she have the totality of a resume? No disrespect to her. Like, she's 100%.
Disrespect.
If she repeats this year, I've got no problem putting her somewhere in the top 10. I just don't think she's had a better career than Alyssa or Faye or like who you're putting her ahead
I
of.
think there's that star factor, right? Like, there is very few on that list who've captured the attention of the body of OCR like she has this year.
Blind
I don't know if
resume.
Blind
Right.
resume, you would list
But
off world
world
championship,
champs.
world championship, world third place. None of those people have done that.
I just her stardom, I feel like is
Her
just
highs
enough
are higher.
It's just high, yes.
You're right that it's been 1 year. But there was some stuff happening last year.
Yeah, OCR Worlds in the North American version of it, like she obviously did really well there as well. Like I have no problem putting her in there. I still think that Annie, let's see. I wonder what her head to head is. Go ahead and keep talking on her point. I just don't.
This is the problem with
10's
Chris,
early.
is we're taking in. I think the problem is like you're
Recency
taking
bias.
Spartan into the least amount of consideration when we put her in 10th, and that's hard for some people to swallow because we want this to be Spartan heavy as far as how it's weighted.
It
and
is
we go,
Spartan
well,
heavy, yeah.
right. But what's really propelling her up is not Spartan, which I think is just like a harder thing for us to like. Chris versus Faye head to head, who would win? Faye at her best, right?
I don't know.
Probably.
Depends on the distance.
But point
Yeah.
being is like I think that's
Not a-
what's
not a
clouding
sure thing.
this is she's one of the few athletes on there who we're basing on more non-Spartan.
What if we take
accolades than
Hyrox
Spartan.
out?
Okay.
What happens? She still has an OCR World's podium and a World's Toughest Mudder win.
Record.
If we the biggest negative in her column, Jack's right, is that if it was a blind comparison, you'd be like higher high, higher high, higher high. 1 year. You'd be like, oh, 1 year. You can't qualify yet.
I think 10's perfect. We just
I think
leave
it makes
there and
sense
move
too.
on.
Yeah,
They
I'm looking at
faced
the
each
other names
other
around.
3 times this year in Spartan. Just look real quick. So Big Bear, Chris got the better of Annie this year, and then Kelowna, Annie third, Chris fourth, 4 minutes behind. Abu Dhabi, 13-minute gap between Annie in fourth and Chris in eighth.
What did Annie do at WTM again?
She didn't race it, but
Oh
that's
yeah,
not
and
her.
what did she do at Hyrox again?
I'm aware. I'm just saying that I don't think that you can give 1 year when she's not. If this was Emma, like top end, having a couple of wins on the Spartan scene, in addition to all she's done, I think you can put it there. I just don't know. 10 just seems too high to me. But if you guys cumulatively want to put it there, I'd be fine doing that after like
Kirk
half
wanted-
the season next year. I just
Kirk
don't
wanted
think
to
she
put
has
her
the
above
consideration.
Susanna.
I've
I've seen enough.
I did
No.
that fully expecting to make this thing meet in the middle. So
Well, and even if we're all wrong, we had a very specific rating system, which was say it all at one time, and we're going to take the average. And this was
Yeah.
the average.
Jack. All right,
I
I'm
know.
actually okay with dropping her
Jack
down a
agreed
little
to
bit.
this.
But the problem is, who do you drop her behind? Once you stop dropping her, once you start, you have to keep going
I guess that's
because
true.
everyone has
Mhm.
body of work over her.
She's either 10
Because
or
11
17.
through
Yeah.
14 are
10th
tight.
or 15th.
Yeah.
However, we started this by saying you cannot be in our tier 1 if you haven't won a Spartan World Championship or 2 major World Championships. Well, if you take a look at only World Championship performance, she's better than every single person behind her.
Mhm.
They've had more years to do less at Worlds than she did. That's the downside of using the years argument. So I think it's perfect right now because next year either validates Jack or it validates Kirk. And Annie gets to move up next year, in theory, right along with her.
Okay.
I can tell Jack hates this. I can see it on his face. It's bothering
Like,
him.
No, I think
not
that
my
Chris-
list.
Next year, Chris will, no, there are a few who aren't in the order that I want. We're just doing this collaboratively. I could see Chris sneaking her way into the top 10 next year if she repeats some of these performances. I just don't think she has it's disrespectful to Faye and Alyssa and Miriam who've been doing it since 2013, 2014.
And never won a world title.
They have no
Like, I
world
get it.
championships.
One amazing. I know
They had
that,
more
but
tries at it, and they never even did.
We gave you Karen Carlson,
Yeah.
True.
And I'm
Take
fine
that.
moving her down. I'm fine moving her down.
who is not the 5th best OCR athlete of all time by any metric other than number of wins. She's probably tied with Miriam for most impressive European athlete to never do it on the big stage. So anyways, if you get Karen, we get this one. Call it a split. We'll move forward, and next year will be the proof in the pudding.
Yeah.
And where was she this year?
That's
Where was
fine.
Karen?
Pregnant.
Oh,
How about that?
I have no comment.
Can we please do the same thing for Emma now?
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
This is messy, huh?
Okay.
I thought this was going to be nice and clean. It's not.
Do it, Kirk.
Do you all have your numbers?
I got
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, 5.
10.
it. 17.
14.
I'm just playing the low odds here. What was it? 10, 10, 17, 5.
I was like, so
Five.
both of them are
14,
5.
17, 10,
Unbelievable.
I said 15.
I'm setting up
I said
the game
17.
to
I don't think she's
get
above
it.
anybody here. She only has one world championship performance, and it was 4th. I don't see how she's above anybody. Just based on only way
come
we do
close
it
to
is
being
based on
Lindsay?
potential. Right. Like, who cares? That
If
doesn't mean
you've
anything.
watched her race, you understand she's top 5 OCR athletes of all time. If you look at
Right.
her performances, you understand
Blind
that she
res-
is top
blind resume.
15 of all time.
Blind resume, she's 17.
She's in the same boat as
No.
as
Look-
Annie and Chris as far as moving.
Okay.
up. Like,
How
give her
about,
one
how
more
about
year,
this? If
see
we're
what
going on
happens.
career resume, 5th in Asheville. That was a throwaway race. She gets 1st at Tahoe, Abu Dhabi, 4th place.
Philadelphia, dude.
Yeah, and then she's got 3 seconds and or 4 seconds this year and a 1st in Utah, and she got 2nd in Kelowna, and Big Bear, San Luis Obispo were the other 2. That's just as many podiums as like Rose and
How many-
a couple of the other women ahead of her.
Okay.
What's her head-to-head versus Annie?
Well, if we can't she can't be in front of Rose. And
She can't be behind Annie, can
I don't
she?
think she can't. Why wouldn't
Why
she?
can't
be
she?
behind
She's
Annie?
been doing it for 2 years versus 1 for Chris.
Chris has been 2 years, and Annie's has 2 world championship finishes higher than.
She has the world championship, and I assume has the head-to-head.
Probably.
Again,
Yeah,
for
definitely.
who?
I think Annie's beat her twice.
Emma versus who?
Annie.
Yeah,
I think
Asheville and
one of them
Abu
is
Dhabi
15,
last
the
year,
other
I
one is
believe.
one place above or below.
Yeah,
If we're weighting world championships, there's no way to put Emma.
yeah. Annie won in Asheville,
Mm-hmm.
lost in Tahoe last year, won in Abu Dhabi, lost in Big Bear, so they're 2-2. Kelowna, she lost. Blue Mountain, she lost. So she's 2 wins, 4 losses head to head against Annie. She's got to be
Plus world championships.
plus.
Annie beat
Yeah,
her at world championships.
that
And
includes
Emma didn't
Abu
win
Dhabi,
it
where
this
she
year.
got 4th. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't include the word potential because if you did, she would be
Blind
she would
resume.
be in the top. No, exactly.
Blind
It's so
resume.
true.
She's 17.
I say split
Yeah.
Annie and Becca, put Emma there. We know she's better in talent, but in terms of resume, she's
I'm happy with that.
she's 16.
It's incredibly
Painful.
disrespectful of a number.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That number is disrespectful.
Next year, I could see her moving to 7 or something like that if she has a great year.
Imagine how happy Emma Cook Clark would be to know that she's on this list. She'd be just thrilled about it. She would be
She would
so
be.
gracious.
If we line up everyone on this list in their prime and you pick any course you want, is there any world she takes worse than 5th?
No,
Probably.
And that's all we
top-
need to know. That's your
top
takeaway,
3.
Emma. Take
Yeah.
that away, nothing else.
Top 3, Lindsay, Zuzana, and Nicole are the only 3 who I think could consistently beat her if Emma has a good day.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
On any day,
Any day.
I would say.
Yeah.
How are we gonna do the dudes now? Shall we
We're
try?
on out of time.
Yeah, with less time. We're gonna have to shout out each time.
Yeah.
Kirk, that's a good system.
It's not though.
Oh, I'm dropping this year.
Yes, you are.
Well, let's try to get a couple that are
Tyler
we've
up.
recently seen. Tyler's
Richard
up.
Hynek up.
Sergey, I think, needs to be moved up quite a
Sergey,
bit.
big time.
We had these on tiers, but we're gonna take those out.
I would put Sergey into 8th.
Yep.
Behind VJ
Anyone
still?
have anything different? No, he bumps ahead of Woods.
Behind VJ, I said.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Kempson has one OCRWC world champ.
Yeah, and it was
And
the
a second.
The
And
low
a-
and a second, where Sergey has a second and now a first Spartan World. So he has to go in front of Kempson. You're
in front
right.
of
Yeah.
Kempson.
Well, I'm just making
Oh,
sure. And
Sergey's
he has
ahead
to
of
go,
Kempson. Yeah.
yeah, he has to go in front of Woodsy then two
Yeah.
just based on world
He's
champions.
behind
right?
VJ
Absolutely.
ahead of Woods.
Here's the interesting thing. I think both Kempson and Woods, if they raced 100 times against Sergey, would have a winning record against them. Probably like 60 to 70 versus 30 or 40. But at the World Championships, on the terrain he is made for, he gets his world title, and you don't get an asterisk for terrain at Worlds. So he has to be ahead of them, even though I think they're better at OCR.
Sergey wasn't allowed to compete at
Yeah.
Tahoe. That's the only reason we didn't see him. He couldn't get a visa to travel to the US. You can't beat people when you can't show up. He wanted to.
Just
He won the
looking at
European
how he's
Championship
fared.
one of those years.
But how he's fared against Ziska and Soleil and
He's better than
Hynek,
them.
guys,
He's better
beat
than them.
them, but they beat him just as much. Anyways, I'm just saying that
He's very beatable. He doesn't have dominance on his side, but he has pretty high level accomplishments on his resume.
I think if you ran him in the U.S. National Series at his prime and Woods and Kempson's prime, they beat him well more often than not. He has had the biggest advantage anyone's ever had outside of maybe Killian's first year in Tahoe at where the World Championship's been held. But he still deserves to be recognized for his World Championship performance.
Yeah.
So 8th.
Yeah, he has a first and a second.
Yeah.
What are we doing with Hunter here?
Don't forget that Peter Ziska, or not Peter Ziska. Hold on, real quick. Sergey beat Ryan Woods in the Trifecta World Championship in 2019 when Woods was on fire that year.
Woods smashed him 2 days in a
There's a
row and
data
then
point.
cramped.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Sergey
Brett.
does
Like,
have multiple. Sergey has multiple podiums at OCR Worlds as well.
I think Sergey spelled it
That
wrong.
Woods has showed up to UK and in Canada.
believe
He's done it
that's
in
true.
2 continents.
No one ever accused Woods of being an OCR world champion guy. Again, I said put him ahead of him. I just
Do we
think
get-
they're better than he is.
is it time to move Hunter down? Like,
Yeah.
how can
Yeah.
Hunter be in front of Sergey?
Yeah.
We
Sadly.
weighed his Hyrox into it a lot. His stadium, his Hyrox.
His star power, the same
It was
thing.
the
Chris
star
Kynan
power.
has.
Yeah. I say he's down. And VJ with another world championship.
I think if VJ
Yeah, he stays there.
won in Abu Dhabi like many people were expecting, I would have been close to putting him ahead of Cody Moat at this point.
Bracken, what do you think about that?
I mean, I think what he's done
Close.
in the 75-minute and under distance is what Cody did for years at the 2-hour and over distance. And Cody is significantly worse at obstacles and had way more low. So yeah, I would say that
Cody
would be
did
fair.
podium at OCR Worlds. Yeah. Cody did get a third.
He did
at OCR Worlds one year in
in-
Ohio.
in a different version of OCR Worlds than what we see now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He was better at
VJ,
obstacles than people
he
think, and
hasn't
he's
had the
worse than he
opportunity
should
to
have been.
face. Yeah, VJ has the misfortune of never having had the opportunity to face Albin in the 3K, which he wants to. He's wanted to for 2 straight years. Albin just didn't do OCR this year, so that was sad.
Having raced all the people on here, Cody Moat is still faster in a sprint or a super than VJ Jones has ever been. VJ is more dominant at the distance, but Cody could beat VJ on VJ's best day if Cody had his best day. So he needs another world title before he can move past him.
Yeah, I mean, Cody definitely belongs ahead of him at this point in his career. I'm just pointing
It's
out
gonna be hard.
that
It's gonna be hard to break into that top
eventually
5
BJ's
for guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Veerman. Should we talk Veerman?
Veerman's the other obvious one who needs to move.
I put him up to 11. Probably it's open.
And Hynek.
that makes the most sense. We got to talk about
Hold
Hynek.
on, real quick. I know we already moved on. We already moved on from the women. We didn't mention Elisa Petrova.
Oh, I know. Yes, we did.
Fighting for the end, but
I have a hard time with Sergey this high, but his world titles,
his world title, man. Yeah. The OCR.
He's won an APAC,
Don't forget.
a Middle East, and a European regional championship, which is just like Miriam. The European was the hardest one to do.
Yeah, it was.
Because you know how good those European guys are. Like that on a mountain course. I think it was in Morzine. Yeah, that's an accomplishment. Fine having him with us personally.
Where do you guys? Should we just shout out Veerman?
Are we going to shout out Petrova? Are we going to do?
We got to give Petrova her respect after the last 2 world
I
championships.
thought Jack was going to be like, but back to Miriam. I thought for sure we were going to backtrack 45 minutes right there.
No.
Alyssa, I did mean to write her down. Now with a second and a third at Worlds.
Second at trifecta.
Trifecta.
Put her in like 13th.
Yeah.
2/3.
Yeah, 12 or 13. I'm happy with
12 or 13.
Jack, you break this. You break this.
Your call, Jack. This is all you this time.
14 or ahead of Miriam or behind Miriam?
It's Miriam's the hard choice. I'd put her behind Miriam. I think that Miriam has beat her head to head enough times. Next, with another year under her belt, I could see Elisa getting ahead of her. That's just my opinion. But if you want to put her ahead, it's a toss up.
I'm always happy with the let's see one more year argument.
Yeah, this is fair.
Yeah.
All right, now we're moving to Veerman. So Veerman has an OCR World Championship to his name now. He has a third at a World's Toughest Mudder and a second at a Spartan World Championship Ultra.
And
a couple
second at a national and a third at a national series.
Couple national series.
I'm happy with the 11.
You think he has a better career than Kent at this point?
He's got to be in front of Kempson, right?
No, but
I don't know if he is.
Can you guys list something out? So, and not to jump to another name, but Ryan Woodsey was the U.S. National Series champ 1 year, right? And he was not in the top 3 any other years. Is that correct? He won once, but he wasn't in the top 3 at the end of the series.
He was. Yeah,
Killian and Atkins were locks.
I don't know. I thought maybe he bumped Kent out in the last race and took third 1 year or something as well. His other title would be one North American Championship, Woodsey, right? Does he have any other titles? And Kempson's an OCR world champ, and so is Veerman. Woods has a huge body of work, but I think his only title would be the series once and then North American champs in West Virginia once.
All right.
Is that correct? If you want to start arguing that game?
Woods has a 6th at Tahoe 2017, 4th 2018, 6th 2019, and then he couldn't make it over to Abu Dhabi even though he wanted to. And then he has 3rd at West Virginia 2018, 1st 2019, 2nd. So he has 1, 2, 3 at regional championships in his career, including Tahoe the last year.
He's ahead of Kempson.
2nd and 3rd at Trifecta World Championship. He's ahead of him. Yeah.
Definitely.
But doesn't have a world championship, whereas Kempson does.
Woods' one big year is
it's the most dominant year we've seen in the series ever by anybody.
Well, not the most dominant year.
Yeah.
The fashion in which he won in the series.
His couple of years, yeah. He had a couple. I guess it's close, yeah. That one big year still matters.
Yeah.
It's just worth the conversation, I think. That's all.
Yeah, but would Veerman or Kempson, I know this is the what ifs, but would they have a world title if John Albin was allowed to, or could have traveled over there last year or this year? I don't know.
Yeah, that's no good.
He's never lost.
Veerman's dominance was as dominant as anything Woods did.
Yeah.
I'm happy with him in 11.
And the 24-hour races.
I'm happy in 11 too. I'm more like trying to dissect where Woodsy should be when he just
I
pops
don't
out
think
at
we've
me right
seen
now.
enough of Veerman yet.
Veerman has to be at front of Kempson.
Why?
I mean,
WTM.
WTM. I think that like
Did he
OCR World
win?
Championship this year was he got second. What else has Kempson done? Kempson on like for 1 year. Like for
How many
Savage,
OCR
you're counting
World
Savage.
podiums?
Are we not counting Savage for Kempson?
That's down by Hildervat.
Okay. I was just wondering.
Kempson has won National Series races.
He has won one. Yes.
Veerman is not.
How many podiums does Kempson have in National Series races?
I bet it's close.
11.
No, I don't think a bunch. No,
he had a lot of
way. I bet he
fourths,
has
didn't he?
3. I bet,
But he had
Kempson
like a
has
shitload
3.
of fourths.
Rich Ryan is correct.
Yeah.
3.
He
How
had
many
2 in
fourths
a
does
row.
he have?
He has
had 2 in a row.
3 in 2019 Alabama and Jacksonville, and then 2020 Jacksonville. He has not had
On
a
very
US national-
specific style of courses.
Tyler Veerman has
He's had
4.
Wow. Kempson's had a stretch of like 12 months where he was really nasty, and then really we haven't seen it.
Yeah, Tyler Veerman has Utah, West Virginia, Utah, and Blue Mountain.
Oh,
So 4
Also
to
very
3
specific kind of
right there.
course. But
They both have.
and he has the
UK
ultra, and he has
OCR
the
World
ultra
title.
feather in
and
his
he has
cap.
the ultra titles, and that OCR World Championship, that 15K this year was better than the 15K.
You can't argue those stats.
Does he have an ultra title?
No, 2 second, second and a third,
Second
2
place.
podiums. Yeah,
Yeah,
You can't put him
Different
behind Kempson
brands.
with that list.
second and third.
you can't put him behind. How do you
I
put him?
agree.
How do you put
I mean,
Kempson?
you can't put him behind Kempson. Yeah, you just put him
Yeah.
ahead.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one's strangely painful for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did we
Kempson
do this
came into the
initially?
team
In like
so
June?
strong.
No, he didn't. Kempson was
When he
bad.
blew up, and then it was like everybody had a chance, right? When we saw Kempson do it, I was like, "Oh, if Kempson did it, I can do it." Richie probably thought the same damn thing, and it was like everybody rooted for Kempson because he wasn't always the guy, and he became it. And I feel like he tugged on our heartstrings the way he did it, and so we want to root for him. I think that, but Veerman's done the same thing.
If Veerman wanted to race more, I think there'd be no conversation here. Because the
think it's
National
more-
Series is made for him.
Yeah.
He hasn't been doing it. But when he shows up, he's blasting people now.
Mhm.
I
Yeah. It's tough.
just want to put
Tyler
Sergey in
doesn't have
12th.
a great track record at World Championships.
You can't do that.
I'm gonna close this spot so you can't just put somebody.
Because is
there.
Sergey better at OCR than Hunter?
World titles.
Apparently,
It just, again, you can't asterisk the sand, but without that one venue, he doesn't have a world podium at Spartan.
He has
Two different
OCR
distances.
Worlds podiums, beating
Isaiah
Atkins in the
spelled wrong.
process. Sergey
I
at
will
one
take
point
no
was the
more
only athlete on the
Criticism
planet.
on spelling.
Sergey at one point was the only athlete on the planet to have a winning record head to head against Ryan Atkins. That's got to count for something.
Was it 1-0?
No,
And that doesn't count
that included
OCR Worlds?
trifecta World Championships. Because Atkins kept finishing like 7th or 8th at OCR World 3K, and Sergey was getting 2nd or 3rd those races.
Head to head doesn't count.
That has bad stat.
But world podiums, which mattered so much to Chris's resume, don't matter to Sergey, even though he has more of them.
Yeah, but Chris never beat me in a race, and Sergey did 3 times.
And Chris is from the USA, Jack. That's built in.
Yeah.
That's
Do we need
baked
to start a
into this
USA
list.
chant? Take
I
your-
want to do that
Practice
every
doesn't want to get
episode.
knocked out by Chris. That's why he's talking her up a little bit.
I've never been.
did you listen to the episode with Chris? Bracken tucked his tail between his legs.
You back
Just
down?
Not
sucked
yet,
his
but-
thumb like a man in the corner.
Like a man is the key takeaway there.
I tried to facilitate a fight, and Bracken just kept quiet.
You said no. No.
Took the high road.
Chris is like, "I will rip your skull off of your head."
All right.
If that even makes sense.
Yeah,
And
good
Bracken
luck.
just-
My head's so smooth.
Uh-huh.
And the thing buttered up. Do we have other dudes? Heineck?
Shoot.
Heineck for sure.
There goes your boy out of the top 15.
Brackett doesn't like doing Heineck.
You just wait. You give me one more year. You just wait till next year.
3K format. This will be a whole different list.
3K format. DECA.
All right. Are we doing the spit out the
Other
number for
things.
Richard?
Doing what?
Are we just spitting out a number for Richard?
I actually
13.
I need some credentials.
I
He's
just-
European champ. He hasn't really done it at the world
He got
13.
He won it this year. Yeah.
12.
Let's
13.
see. I'll filter them
Keep
out.
spitting numbers.
13.
I like 13.
Trifecta
Really?
champ twice.
Yeah, Kent's hybrid has to count
Without even numbers.
something. It does, hybrid is not less important than the trifecta championship.
Well, and Kent had a good enough run in the National Series races at
Yeah.
times where he
And
showed
Worlds.
enough of and Worlds where I think it keeps him there. It allows us to make his hybrid argument on top of something else.
Yeah, but he doesn't have world
All right.
championships in hybrid.
Richard Heineck.
Becca? Hello.
Oh, that's
Richard
that's-
Heineck.
he is too.
His career.
Don't belittle your sport.
Heineck came to
I was
Tahoe.
like-
He got 16th.
It's not great.
Heineck got
wasn't him
16th
then.
in 2018. He got 14th in 2019, the year that he won Trifecta World Championship for the first time. He got 28th in Abu Dhabi last year, and he didn't race this year.
13. Happy with it.
Let's put him
I put him
16.
behind
Let's
Soleil.
keep Bracken. Let's keep Bracken in the
No.
top 15.
For the
Come on. Yeah.
No,
No.
no.
What's done is done.
Bracken.
that this
Bracken.
erodes any
Too well said.
credibility we have in the sport. You can't do it. I refuse.
Hold on. You want me to pull up Bracken's resume just to see where we would put him?
Oh,
Blind
God,
resume.
no,
do
that's
we
Now
want-
that we know it's
Do we
him.
want to do
Blind
this?
yes, we
wanna
do.
this?
Yeah. All right.
Let's
We
go
have
to
a
the
man,
bathroom.
a random athlete who has finished 3rd, 8th, 48th, and 28th at Spartan Race World Championship, including multiple DNFs as well, right?
Well, if you're going to include in DNFs, you should include the 3rd place at the Ultra World Championship.
They affected Esther. Oh yeah. Okay, so those are the
Look at
Those
him
are
all
the finishes.
smug over there in his pajamas.
regional championship. We have 7th in the Middle East, which doesn't matter according to everybody, and then 12th at West Virginia. And then Stadium Series, you've held your own there for sure.
Held your own.
That's not a stat.
I know. I'll get it after. If
Stadium
we're
Series
looking
needs
at
improvement.
Your first 7 NBC races, you had 4 second places and 3 fourth places.
It's pretty good.
And then 6th and 4th. So basically, before Breckenridge 2016, you had run 9 NBC races and only once took worse than 4th. That's pretty high caliber right there. Since the fields got deeper in like Seattle, Monterey, Jacksonville, Alabama, you were consistently in that 8-9 range. So, and then if we want to
and
add
injured slightly all the time.
Yep.
What
And
about
if
that
we want to add
Atlas
the Stadium Series,
situation?
you have 6 of 7 Stadium Series. You have a podium, including a win in 2018 City Field, where Rich and I both were
What about the abominable snow
in
race?
Heat 2.
Good question about the abominable. And that one that was on YouTube where he kicked your hiney, Jack.
Oh yeah, that was OCR Warrior. Yep,
What about the
Warrior Dash World Championship?
that's true. 5th
World
place.
champion. What
Fifth
about
place.
What about the basketball record thing? Dribbling
One-time
on it?
world record holder, unofficial, in the
mile
1 mile
dribbling a
basketball
basketball.
race.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Does that affect Logan's boomerang? Does that affect
There's no
his
running
place?
involved.
No running and boomerang. He just does backflips.
Okay. But honestly, if we look at this, where does Bracken rank? He's ahead of Isaiah. Head to head, he's got a better record realistically. But where would we unbiased put him?
No, I can't move up.
He stays put.
You have beaten Hobie twice at a Spartan race. Atkins once, Albin once, Killian a couple times. You've never beat Cody Moat, but pretty much every single person who's in the sport, you've beaten them at some point during
Not
your
Sergey.
career. That's got to
Not
hold
Sergey.
some merit.
Not Sergey. What, like
You're
a
right.
dozen
Yeah,
others
and
that
Albert
Jack
Soleil.
pulled up.
Yeah, I know. I could do the whole list, but that we don't have all day. But I do think the fact that your head-to-head record, like you're 4-6 versus Angel, 7-8 versus Chad Trammell, 20-11 versus Isaiah, 10-4 versus Mark Batras, 15-6 against Ryan Kempson. I'm surprised at that.
Smashed.
7-7
Earlier,
against
right,
Woods.
Wait,
Can I
stay
make-
out of this.
Can I make an
Bottras.
argument real quick? Why is Isaiah Vidal even on the list?
Head to head matters.
5 top 10 finishes at Tahoe or at World Championship.
That's not good enough to get
Oh.
him on this list anymore.
I mean, who else?
Who are you putting him?
Nobody.
Who else are you
Delete him.
substituting?
Delete him.
Delete. No, I'm being serious.
Rylan, where's Rylan?
I mean,
Yeah.
Rylan is Chris.
Not
why is Isaiah on the list? I'm not
Duration.
discrediting how good he is, but why is Isaiah on the list? For real. I'm being
You could say the
serious.
same thing about me.
With your
All right,
your top. How many did Isaiah really dominate the Spartan like national series podiums? Does he have 1 or 2? You have like 8.
You know what's interesting about national
Bracken
series
has-
races? I never took first or third. I've only taken second or fourth.
Yeah. And during that stretch of
Weird.
time up until so Isaiah has a bunch like 4, 4, 2, 4, 6. Like that's how he started out. He was kind of just like Bracken was doing in the early days.
So
But
he
I
has
think
a
in some
podium.
of those second places he was fourth. Like the second places that you got, Bracken, he was fourth during those races.
Oh, switcheroo.
I think he's off the list.
Yeah.
In lieu of no one.
He's
Just delete
booting
him.
him. He's not getting
Yeah.
replaced.
Yeah. Why is there a problem with this? I don't see the resumes of everybody else in there. I can understand why they're on the list, and for him, I can't.
Battle
Yes.
bunker champion.
I
Three
support it
ninth
because
Third place at
to,
Surra
sixth.
Stadium.
I have nothing against him. I
Yeah,
don't know him
champion.
personally, other than secondhand stories, but I don't see why he's on there. Look at the list on the female side too. The resumes are astounding.
his
I don't-
resume probably says he should be on his. If you just
He's-
only
he's
took him off for
15
one
and
reason,
4.
it would be his just incorrigible cheating on course. That would be his one reason to get off of there.
I have no skin in the game. I can't justify it.
I mean, he's
From my-
cheated
from
at
what I know.
Spartan race,
Isaiah's
Savage race, Hyrox,
Mhm.
and he's been caught cheating
Been
at
caught.
every
Spartan
major
Cruise.
racing. Spartan Cruise. Every major series he's ever run, he's been caught cheating at. So that's the only asterisk on him, I think.
He is 15 and 4 head to head against Ryan Kempson and 9 and 3 against Mark Botras, 5 and 4 against Ryan Woods. So that's pretty solid head to head.
Aren't we looking at high end
But I agree.
titles or high end like podiums and big major things? And he's got like 1, 2.
I guess let's hear his
Does
highs.
Annie have a title?
No,
Podiums
but
at North
Yeah,
Americans
he has
and Worlds.
cheated a bunch.
he has six places as best finish at World Championship.
That hits me just right.
Throw him the asterisks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Fine, don't take him off. I don't care. I'm not going to lose.
He has a
Um,
podium at the 2015 or 14 World Short Course Championship by Spartan, that add-on. He took third there.
He did
a-
run for
that's a hell of
24
a bet.
hours in the pitch black in a box on a treadmill.
Never
With
forget.
no one watching.
For real.
I mean, here I'll name off some names. You tell me is
Still in there for
Isaiah
24
or should
hours.
he be ahead? Angel, just yes or no. Angel.
I don't know. I've
Maybe
never
he has
known
more- More
that. Is a
Elite
world-
Series
is that-
podiums.
There's more
North
everything.
America is a North American podium.
Okay. Yeah. Who else? Like Ian Hosick.
They're kind of the
Worth that
same.
world.
He has no podiums for North American.
yeah.
I think it's like fifth
Aaron
in,
Newell, Chad Trammell, Glenn Race. They're all kind of in that same mold, and I feel like Isaiah's
You either take-
longevity-
and body of work, total podiums, the stadium stuff.
Am I back to being the
Yeah.
best of the rest?
Hey, you're still up there.
Can you put that on my tombstone?
I think
think
you
you
either
are.
take Isaiah Vidal off or you put in like 5 more guys that Jack just rattled them off, and we go for another hour deciding who goes where.
Rylan.
Nah.
Right.
I think Ryan. I don't think any of those other guys that would be above him that he just mentioned. Maybe Angel.
Tell you, I'm not leaving top 15.
Well, we didn't put Heineken here.
I'm not leaving top
What,
16. and that's a fact.
It's not in there. He's got to be.
He's there now. We didn't.
Oh,
We got.
Bracken.
Okay.
We got diverted.
So who can I realistically pass if I have a big year? Shoot.
Actress.
No one. All right. I'll stay retired.
Define a big year.
Botchus has a world title.
Yeah.
Bracken could
not-
have one.
I'm not
3K
winning a world
format.
title.
Why not?
In reality,
Man.
though, just being
Who
honest,
knows what'll
so
pop up?
Ryland's best finish at World Championship. He got sixth in Abu Dhabi, which matches Isaiah's. Isaiah has 3 ninth, and a 10th. Granted, that Ryland hasn't been around long enough. Ryland's finishes at National Series are 2-6, 5-8, 6-6, 10th at one of the Trifecta World Championships, 3-2, and then he won Kelowna. A lot of those are like that 5, 6, 8, 10 range that Isaiah has.
OCR
it's not
Worlds.
that different, and Isaiah's been doing it longer.
DECA world record.
OCR Worlds.
I know.
PTQ,
I'm just giving Isaiah some
Oh, yeah.
credibility there because of his.
I guess
resume,
Rylan
despite
is
what you
still a
think of
bit
the
of
guy.
Emma, where we're projecting.
Yeah. So is he 18?
You know what he is. Just what was that?
Are we putting Rylan on the list? I think we should.
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Chad Trammell won a World's Toughest.
But then you'd have to start talking about
Team.
I think you wait one more year until the next discussion to see what
He
he
has
does.
a regional championship. I mean, that's pretty good.
And he
It's
would have been second
as much
place
as Emma
at OCR
has.
World 15K. Got fourth in the 3K. Then Chalkgate happened, but
He's got that team title.
yeah,
Chalk
How-
doesn't even help you on obstacles.
I
I
know.
don't think
It
does.
only stops you from ripping.
How many National Series podiums does he have? 3?
Rylan has second in Utah 2021, and that's it. His next best
Oh,
finish in a National
what?
Series race
Yeah.
is 5th at Big Bear.
Oh, but he does have that national.
And then he got first in
North American
Kelowna, which isn't a National Series rate, but that holds
better.
some serious weight.
I think he'll be up there, no problem next year. I think you just wait to decide.
He's behind Bracken right now, though, no doubt.
Yeah. Ahead of
Where is
Isaiah? Would that make
Rich?
you feel better? Yeah, let's pull up that list of all the people that I haven't beaten. How do you spell his last name here?
Yeah.
We do it?
All right,
We okay with
I think
that?
that's our list. Got 18 each. Both gender, right?
I have
so.
to know, Jack. What do I have to do to get top 15? What do I got to do in 2023?
I think
Why,
you're gonna-
why does Jack hold the
You've
key?
got a.
I'll ask each one of you then, individually.
Bracken, I think that you need to get another National Series podium in a different era.
But who does it pass? Is the question.
Yeah, with Bottress's record at World's Toughest Mudder and multiple
He has
National Series
two,
podiums,
three.
that's you probably
Three.
can't pass it. I don't know. I don't think you've got the ability in 1 year to do it unless you have like a Rylan-esque year.
You win that 3K championship.
In fact, it might be the
That's
most
true. That
impressive to
format's
go from
Going to help you.
the bulk of your work from like 2014 and 15 and then to span that gap like nobody before Bracken, you could be number one. Spanning eras, be the only one to do it. Bridging gaps.
Well, go ahead and move me up then, Jack.
All right.
Already
Tentatively.
right,
Put you in yellow.
put it in stone. He's going up.
At what
right.
point does we didn't talk about number 2? Does Atkins' second place help him out, hurt him?
It helps. I mean, it's on his resume. It builds it
That
more.
was his closest second place yet. He's got Hobie only raced 4 Spartan Race World Championships. Atkins has 6 seconds and a win.
Hobie has 2.
Hobie's better than Ryan.
3.
Ryan is the
three.
best OCR athlete ever.
But Emma is better than a lot of people ahead of her as well. But that doesn't mean she should be number 1.
No, I don't think Atkins did anything this year that would justify moving him above Hobie. He didn't win
It was
any
a down
world
year.
championships. Yeah, and didn't
Yeah.
win the.
If Atkins wins again, I think that's what it's going to take, and then it's still going to be a discussion.
He might have to win a OCR world championship and the
Mhm.
Spartan world.
He has the
Championship.
better career already.
100%.
He's the greatest all-around OCR athlete the sport has ever seen. At some point, he's just going to have done too much, and everyone's going to admit he's the best. And John's not going to race anymore, so he's not going to take over the throne. Hobie can't do anything more. Like, Atkins will retire number 1.
Yeah, at what point though?
We'll see.
Hobie
if he
couldn't have
decides to-
couldn't have done DECA. He couldn't have done World's Toughest.
Yeah.
These things wouldn't have occurred. He would have won Abu Dhabi and it wouldn't have been close. But Atkins is better. It's just when you're in the top 5, it takes so much to move up. It's like cutting a 10th off of your 100-meter dash time when you're already a 10 flat guy.
Yeah.
So we'll see when he retires. That'll be the whole topic we can do. We got to get Kirk to lunch.
Would have been a different discussion. Yep.
Yeah. Kirk's got to go to lunch. We've talked enough. Check out Reinforced Running Podcast. Check out the Running Public Podcast, and check us out next week. We got the Okras, so we got to make sure we know our format going into Okras Live.
Rich, I just want to talk to you. You can shut off the recording now, but you do not bring the same aura this week that you did last. Like you've lost your world championship luster. You are a reduced version of yourself this week, and it's really hard for me to watch.
It is fleeting.
We got to
You're
get
the
that
world
back.
champ on your belt. Why aren't we talking about Rich Ryan all of a sudden? Let's just slap
That's a
some
good
names
point.
on there. Till next time we'll do that.
Multiple
One
10th
more year.
places.
We need one more year.
Multiple 10th places. OCR Star Season 2 champion. Okay, I don't think I forgot.
Yep.
Didn't you win?
You're right, Bracken. I gotta
Burpee
remind
10K
myself.
as well.
No, I got fucking second.
Yeah.
Oh, did God that beat you?
God, that beat me. But I got third in that beer mile, so that's the best collectively. Jack beat me in that one.
Second. 618 at altitude.
He's wearing gloves.
Oh,
Glove aided.
No chalk.
Drinking Michelob Ultras.
No,
Out
I
of
was drinking
bottles.
Bud Platinum.
Oh, I respect that.
Bottles are the move, though.
Yeah.
I was drinking cans, and that is a disadvantage. But heavy.
Hey,
But
I'll go head to head against you.
But with that USA flag on there, because damn it, that's what matters.
That's leave.
All right, boys. Talk to you next week.
See you.